Chapter 480. Looking at this petite figure busying herself, Chu Yang couldn't help but fall into a trance. It was as if he had returned to his previous life. When the two of them were together, the first thing Mo Qingwu did every morning when she woke up was to dry the quilt. If it was a cloudy day with no sun, it would definitely be the most troublesome time for Mo Qingwu. And every time she dried the quilt, she would definitely lean over and smell it. Then, she would gently scold him with a smile, "Oh, so smelly." Looking at Mo Qingwu doing the same thing under the sun as in his previous life, Chu Yang suddenly felt warm in his heart. "Qingwu, so nice. Life with you, so nice." Facing the bright sunlight, he smiled brightly. His eyes were filled with happiness. When Jiyu Duxing and the others groaned and crawled out of the tent, they saw this warmth. They couldn't help but stand quietly at the side, afraid to disturb them. He was afraid that he would disturb this tranquility. As he watched, Jimo suddenly had a brainwave. Then, he turned pale with fright. He suddenly let out a strange cry and widened his eyes in disbelief. He hurriedly reached out to cover his mouth. Luo Kedi asked, "What's wrong?" "No, nothing." Second Master Ji shook his head dizzily. Suddenly, he raised his hand and slapped himself twice in a row. He scolded in annoyance, "You unhealthy Jimo. Jimo, your head is filled with dirty thoughts. What's wrong?" Jiyu Duxing and Dong Wushang also came over curiously. The four heads immediately squeezed together. "I was thinking too much." Jimo was a little embarrassed. The three of them were even more curious. "What are you thinking about?" "I was thinking." Jimo lowered his voice. Boss has always been straightforward with women. Could it be that he has long taken a liking to little Wu? This is a little unreliable. Boss shouldn't be such a beast, right? Don't you think so? After Jimo finished speaking, he was ready to be beaten. In his mind, he would definitely be scolded for being ridiculous and then attacked by the group. But what he didn't expect was that Jiyu Duxing and Dong Wushang actually touched their chins and pondered for a long time. The two of them looked at each other and said in a low voice at the same time, "A little beastly, huh?" Then, at the same time, they looked at Chu Yang, who was standing there with a silly grin on his face, and then at the petite and adorable Mo Qingwu. Once again, they said at the same time, "What a beast." Ji Mo was also startled. He stuttered, "Could it be that you also think so?" The two nodded. "It's not impossible." Luo Kudi was stunned. After a while, he stuttered, "Don't tell me that in the future, we have to call this little girl sister-in-law." "This still needs to be observed," Jiyu Duxing said deeply. "It needs to be verified." Dong Wushang pondered. "I think it's about time." Jimo opened his eyes wide. Luo Kedi let out a miserable shriek. "Stop talking about this topic for the time being," Jiyu Duxing said sternly. "No one is allowed to talk about it in the future. Do you understand?" "Yes," Luo Kudi said excitedly. "We only need to watch. At the same time, I can also learn how the boss seduced the little girl, how to seduce the little girl, how to." Xiedan Qiong walked over with a pale complexion. His mouth was still reeking of alcohol. He said, Brother Chu, you're not a human. I still have a headache. How could it be that the boss last night?" Jimo and the other three opened their eyes wide in disbelief. Xiedan Qiong wanted to cry. "He drank us to the point of collapse." The four of them turned their heads in amazement, and looked at Chu Yang. Suddenly, Luo Kudi exclaimed emotionally, "This is a god. The Xie clan was completely wiped out in the battle last night. The old guys shrank in their rooms, and didn't come out. How shameful. The entire clan was drinking with one person, and they were all drunk to the point of collapse. Where can I put my old face? It can't be helped. Xiedan Qiong is the young clan lord. Moreover, everyone unanimously believes that you're the one who benefits the most. If you don't go out to entertain them, who will entertain them? Therefore, Xiedan Qiong shamelessly came out. Brother Xie, you're up so early?" Chu Yang's face was full of sunshine. He looked refreshed and calm as he stood in front of Xiedan Qiong. "You're really beyond my expectations." Xiedan Qiong's face turned red. He smelled the alcohol in his mouth, and then looked at Chu Yang's clean and neat clothes. There was no need to mention this shame and awkwardness. Why is the gap between people so big? They finally set out again in the afternoon. Dan Qiong still needed to prepare. He needed to familiarize himself with the soul-seizing flower blade. Therefore, he didn't travel with the others, and reluctantly said goodbye. The old guys of the Xie clan also shyly came out to see them off. They were embarrassed when they saw Chu Yang. Everyone made a decision in their hearts: I won't drink with this guy in the future even if I'm beaten to death. I'll run away as long as I see him drinking. It's too sad. The experts of the Xie clan looked at Chu Yang and his brothers as they carried 500 kilograms of star iron on their backs, and hurried on with their journey. Their faces were heavy and thoughtful. It could be said that the Xie clan had entered a period of rapid development with the core of the mysterious jade ice crystal. However, there was always a limit. Treasure. It's obviously a treasure. But a man can't become an expert if he doesn't have perseverance, and perseverance. Chu Yang, Jiyu Duxing, and the others have taught us a lesson with their actions. Who would have been so desperate to practice martial arts at such a young age if they had been an ordinary young expert? This is just hurrying on with the journey. Dan Qiong, you must work hard. Xie Zhigang softly sighed. He looked at the silhouettes of those people who had already disappeared. He then said in a heavy voice, this is called practicing martial art. Compared to them, your training in the past can be said to be just a game. Dan Qiong's face was full of shame as he replied, yes. At the same time, he steeled his heart, I won't fall behind you. Suddenly, the experts of the Xie clan exclaimed in shock, huh? Why are they traveling empty-handed? What happened to those things that they took yesterday? Everyone woke up at the same time. They looked towards the place where the Jiyu clan had set up camp. They saw that it was completely empty. There was nothing there. Everyone sucked in a mouthful of cold air. How did they do it? Chu Yang and the others rushed for 500 kilometers in one breath. The sky was already full of stars. So, they stopped to set up camp. That night, Chu Yang began to circulate his martial power. The forging materials were piled up like a mountain inside the tribulation space. The sword point shook its head and wagged its tail as it entered the space. Chu Yang checked the medicinal herbs. They were also sent by the Xie clan. There was a big pile of them. They weren't particularly precious. But there were still a lot of heavenly treasures. Then, he instructed Scratching Spirit to watch the sword point's absorption. Then, he went to meditate. Scratching Spirit obviously didn't dare to relax. The sword point was like a little thief that couldn't be guarded against. The sword point would absorb all his good things if he didn't take good care of it. Chu Yang felt that his bottleneck had loosened that night. So, he seized the time to make a breakthrough. He wasn't the only one. Jiyu Duxing and the others also had the same feeling. The main reason was that they had been hurrying on the road with heavy weights for 8 consecutive days. They had gotten used to it. But they had thoroughly relaxed in the Xie clan for a day. And this day was very important. The results of their training were reflected after they had thoroughly relaxed. The suppressed spirit qi was like 100 rivers converging into the sea, converging into a stream of spirit qi and rushing into his meridians. The 10 king-level experts of the Jiyu clan simultaneously felt a burst of dense spirit energy hovering over their encampment. It became more and more violent, and formed a whirlwind of spirit energy. The spirit energy from all directions converged in this silent night. It was like 100 rivers converging into the sea. It was whistling and gathering in this place. The spirit energy in this area slowly became so dense that it was almost viscous. In fact, those with low cultivation couldn't even breathe in this place. The spirit energy gathered like dense clouds without rain. It gathered, and gathered again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hiss. A king-level expert of the Jiyu clan sucked in a mouthful of cold air. He couldn't believe it. His mouth and eyes were crooked. 5 people are about to make a breakthrough at the same time, and each of them is a king-level expert. This is simply a dream. There was no need for him to say anything. The other king-level experts had also discovered this situation. One of the senior king-level experts shouted in a low voice, "Quiet. Everyone, scatter and protect with all your strength. You can't make the slightest noise at this time. With a whoosh sound, the 10 people scattered in all directions. They vigilantly looked at the surrounding night. But they felt that the excitement in their hearts was getting more and more intense. In fact, it felt as if they were overturning rivers and seas. 5 youngsters. Breakthrough at the same time. Such brothers, such age, such strength. Finally, the vortex in the middle suddenly issued a slight sound of exploding spirit energy. Then, it fiercely scattered with a whoosh sound. Then, it fiercely gathered again, and rapidly spiraled downwards. It issued a hissing sound. The density of the spirit energy was so dense that it even emitted a clear light green color. Fu Jiu Du Xing slowly stood up with a long exhalation. He opened his eyes, and 2 sharp sword-like rays of light shot out of them. The king-level expert of the Jiu clan who was opposite him happened to see this. He only felt a chill run down his spine. It seemed as if 2 blades had suddenly reached his throat. He was injured upon contact. So, he didn't dare to move. 3rd grade Sword King, Jiu Du Xing couldn't help but feel excited in his heart. I finally made a breakthrough. Then, he looked at the other 4 people with a gaze full of concern. The second person to make a breakthrough was Dong Wushong. When Dong Wushong broke through, the spirit energy in the air poured into his meridians. Then, the crisscrossing saber energy fiercely dispersed from his entire body. It cut through the air, and issued a sound of tearing silk. It seemed as if it was real. 3rd grade Saber King, Dong Wushong stood up next. He and Jiu Du Xing stood on the left and right to protect their brothers. The king-level experts of the Jiu clan felt as if they were dreaming. They saw a Sword King and a Saber King breaking through at the same time. There was actually such a thing in the world. After a while, Luo Kudi and Jimo stood up at the same time. They had broken through. Only the largest vortex was left in the sky. It was still spiraling endlessly. The spirit energy from all directions was still rushing in like moths to a flame. All the plants within a radius of several thousand feet were withering at a speed visible to the naked eye. Chu Yang's breakthrough required a terrifying amount of spiritual energy. Unexpectedly, it required such a huge amount of spiritual energy. Jiu Du Xing and the others looked at each other in dismay. They could see the shock in each other's eyes. Chapter 481. Slowly, a terrifying vortex of spirit energy formed in the sky. It was visible to the naked eye, and was slowly churning. Everyone looked at each other in dismay. They slowly retreated, and stopped 200 feet away from the vortex. The spirit energy from all directions madly rushed over, and joined the vortex. In the end, it had already formed a tangible flow of spiritual energy. It was like green smoke that suddenly floated in the air. Strands and wisps of spiritual energy flew in like moths to a flame. The rotation of the vortex gradually accelerated. It was like a huge machine that was slowly starting up. Then, it gradually accelerated and became faster and faster. The tip of the vortex slowly turned downwards and formed a huge funnel shape. Its tip was pointing downwards, and its target was Chu Yang's Baihui acupoint. The spirit energy from all directions is gathering like smoke. It suffocates for 100 miles. It doesn't dare to speak to the monarch. A king-level expert of the Jiu clan looked at Chu Yang in shock. He couldn't believe it, and softly exclaimed, "This is a phenomenon that can only occur when a monarch-level expert breaks through. A monarch-level expert's vortex has appeared when a king-level expert breaks through. This, am I dreaming?" The 10 king-level experts suddenly turned pale. The momentum of Jiu Du Xing and the others' breakthroughs had already far surpassed that of an ordinary king-level expert. Especially Jiu Du Xing and Dong Wushong's breakthroughs, 1 saber and 1 sword king. Their momentum was even more frightening. And now, the last one was even more abnormal. Moreover, these people were sworn brothers. With such aptitude, how terrifying would it be if all of them grew up and became fully fledged? Jiu Du Xing and the others also looked at each other in amazement. The momentum of a monarch-level expert's breakthrough? The speed of the vortex of spirit energy in the sky finally accelerated under everyone's gaze. An ear-piercing whooshing sound resounded, and the entire vortex turned green. Then, it suddenly shrank, and started to rotate in the opposite direction. Finally, it shrank downwards. From the tip of the funnel downwards, it disappeared into Chu Yang's Baihui acupoint at an unparalleled speed. Chu Yang's body suddenly issued a violent explosion. His robe fluttered in the air. Mo Qingwu was standing the furthest away. She felt a sudden rush of air. She couldn't help but feel suffocated. She stretched out her hand in a panic, and felt as if she had caught something. She then opened her eyes, and looked at her hand. She saw that it was a fragment of a black robe. There was a strand of long black hair fluttering in this fragment of black robe. Just like a person's yearning. How could there be a woman's long hair on Chu Yang's clothes? Furthermore, from the looks of it, it was clearly sewn into the black robe, as if he didn't want anyone to know about it. What was going on? The aura of a breakthrough spread out. Thousands of strands of sharp sword chi flew in all directions and disappeared without a trace with a green glow. Third-grade Sword King. Another Sword King had broken through. The 10 king-level experts of the Jiyu clan looked at each other in amazement. It's rare to see a king of saber and sword in a few decades. But 3 of them have appeared in one go today. Breakthrough! Jimo shouted excitedly. He was about to rush forward to celebrate when Dong Wushong grabbed him. Don't move. Everyone had also discovered the abnormality. Chu Yang had broken through. But he was still sitting there without moving. Moreover, the dense aura of his whole body hadn't been withdrawn. The huge aura of his surroundings was still revolving around him. The spirit energy was slowly rotating in midair. It seemed as if it's forming a new cyclone. Everyone looked at it blankly. What's going on? They had never seen such a strange phenomenon since ancient times. The cyclone was getting bigger and bigger, and its scope was getting wider and wider. This time, the spirit energy from high up in the sky had come down. And the spirit energy from a distant place had rushed over in succession. It was like a moth flying into a flame as it joined the newly formed cyclone. The vegetation in the surroundings had already begun to wither. But it suddenly lost all its vitality with a whoosh sound. The cyclone slowly increased in size. And that light green spirit energy mist once again appeared in a dense manner. The scope of this cyclone was twice as large as the previous one. Is it going to break through again? This thing is still continuous. The oldest king-level expert of the Jiyu clan cried out in alarm as if he had seen a ghost. His fingers trembled, and a wisp of his beard fell off. Everyone was left dumbstruck. This is too unimaginable, right? Breaking through, it's already a blessing to be successful once. But this brother is doing it continuously. Aren't you tired? Even if you aren't tired, can your meridians bear it? Then, he felt that the spirit energy in his body was reacting. It seemed as if it was about to leave his body and fly out. It seemed as if it was being pulled into that cyclone of spirit energy. Quickly retreat. Jiyu Du Xing shouted loudly. Everyone hurriedly retreated. Dong Wushong supported Mo Qingwu, and retreated another 500 feet. The spirit energy in the sky followed the cyclone's rotation, and formed an even bigger funnel shape. Then, it went down with a whoosh. Another explosion of spirit energy was heard. This time, it was much more intense than the previous one. The few king-level experts felt as if they were about to be shaken to the ground. Countless sword energies seemed to be celebrating the birth of a sword king. They actually revolved around Chu Yang's body. They shuttled up and down, and cut the air into pieces. Chu Yang heaved a sigh of relief. He moved his neck, and made a cracking sound. Then, he slowly stood up. He finally stopped breaking through. Several king-level experts were speechless as they looked at this evil door. They finally felt relieved. This is really a blow to our confidence. The old king-level expert of the Jiyu clan wanted to cry, but had no tears. He stretched out one hand towards his old companion. Then, he stretched out the other hand, and bent down 3 fingers. He shook them with a tangled look on his face. What? The other person was puzzled. 7 years. King-level expert Gooseface was tangled. He was speechless as he shook his 7 fingers. It took me 7 years to advance from 3rd grade king level to 4th grade. 7 years. And I'm still an ordinary king-level expert. Look at him. Look at him. He went from 3rd grade king level to 4th grade, 7 breaths. I really feel that my life is somewhat meaningless. Motherfucker. He looked up to the sky and sighed. Tears streamed down his face. This gap has made me work diligently and earnestly for my whole life. How can I endure this? The king-level expert next to him was speechless. Chu Yang stood up naked. He opened his hands, and a black robe appeared out of nowhere. It fluttered like a black cloud, and draped itself over his body. Then, he pulled it up, and tied it with a belt. He looked as elegant as jade in an instant. He took a step forward, and walked towards Jiyu Duxing, Jimo, and the others. He smiled, and extended a finger. Jiyu Duxing and Dong Wushong looked at each other and smiled bitterly. Jimo and Luo Ku-di looked as if they had lost their parents. 100 pounds. The meaning of this finger was very clear. I'm 1 level higher than you. So, you'll have to add 100 pounds on top of the 1,000 pound. Well, you'll have to run with 1,100 pounds on your back from tomorrow onward. Big brother, this is too much of a blow to our confidence. Jimo groaned, you can't do this. When you broke through from martial warrior to martial master, you crossed several levels at once. When you broke through from martial great master to revered martial artist, you crossed several levels at once. Now that you're a king-level expert, how can you still do this? How can we live with this? Chu Yang spread out his hands and helplessly said, what can I do? Can this thing suppress me? Dong Wushong's black face twitched. He snorted and said, isn't it just 100 pounds? Jimo, what are you blabbering about? Old Tian is carrying 100 pounds more than you, and you haven't said anything yet. How can we compare? Luo Ku-di jumped up. He felt extremely wronged. That saber of yours is only 270 pounds, okay, a bunch of Evilders. That king-level expert of the Jiyu clan was speechless as he looked at these 5 freaks. He sadly turned his head, I'm going back to practice. From tomorrow onwards. I'll also carry 1,000 pound. The 10 king-level experts sighed and left. Their backs were bent, and their footsteps were unsteady. Since we have nothing to do, we might as well practice our skills. Chu Yang said, Du Xing, you educate Jimo Wushong, you and Wolf Cub join forces to attack me. Jimo burst into tears. Why am I the only one being educated? Jiyu Du Xing revealed an evil grin. Then, he suddenly pulled out his sword and attacked. On this side, Luo Ku-di was in high spirits. He rubbed his palms. Big brother. Awu. Let me teach you a lesson. He signaled with his eyes. Then, he and Dong Wushong pounced on Chu Yang from the left and right. Saber light flashed everywhere, and sword energy crisscross. Chu Yang laughed loudly. Come on. He pulled out his sword and attacked. His black robe fluttered in the wind. The 3 of them fought together. Luo Ku-di immediately regretted it. That was because Chu Yang didn't show any mercy in his attacks. He suppressed 2 people with 1 sword. Dong Wushong was a little better because his saber was heavy. Chu Yang dodged as much as he could. However, Luo Ku-di was unlucky. He was chopped by a flurry of swords, and was kicked up from time to time. He flew in the air like a rubber ball. The 5 of them had just broken through. Everyone had new insights. It was rare for them to be evenly matched. This fight was really satisfying. Later, the 2 battles converged and launched into a chaotic battle. Sometimes, they were fighting alone. Sometimes, it was 2 against 3. Sometimes, it was even 1 against 4. Each of them became more and more familiar with their battle techniques in the battle. New ideas and insights were constantly forced out. Later, Chu Yang, Jiyu Duxing, and Dong Wushong, the 3 strongest links, joined forces and attacked Jimo and Luo Ku-di with all their might. The 2 of them were beaten until they screamed and were in an extremely sorry state. The 3 of them had the same idea. Jimo and Luo Ku-di were the weakest links among the 5 brothers. Therefore, they must be pressured to catch up as soon as possible. Of course, Jimo and Luo Ku-di were also aware of this point. The 2 of them gritted their teeth and struggled to hold on. Although they were beaten until they screamed again and again, the fierceness in their hearts was completely stimulated. This battle was fought until the east was a little bright. Jimo and Luo Kudi were beaten to the point that they broke through their limits in the fierce battle. This surprised Chu Yang and the others. It seemed that these two fellows were really pushed to the limit. Chapter 482. One must know that being able to withstand the attacks and break through the limit in a fierce battle was equivalent to increasing one's endless power. This wasn't something an ordinary person could do. Jimo and Luo Kudi being able to do this would play a crucial role in their future expeditions. Early in the morning, everyone continued their journey. Chu Yang was surprised to find that his team had a total of 10 people. Except for Mo Qingwu, everyone else was carrying something on their backs. Jiu Du Xing and the others were carrying star iron on their backs. But the king-level experts of the Jiu clan were carrying a large piece of flat bluestone on their backs. Think about it, 10 old men, and a few of them were in their 40s. But all of them were carrying mountain-sized boulders on their backs. This discovery made Chu Yang speechless. The king-level experts couldn't bear it even before the morning had arrived. Their backs were aching, and their legs were cramping. They had no choice but to put down the boulders. They finally understood, the road of a genius breakthrough isn't easy to walk. It's not that you can't do it. It's just that you've already passed this age. Chu Yang said during lunch, most of you have already passed the time of tempering your bones and internal organs at martial great or revered martial artist. Therefore, you can't keep up. As for these people, they have been tempering their bones since they were martial great masters. So, it's the same for tempering their bones when they were martial great masters. And, it's the same for tempering their internal organs when they were revered martial artist. Chu Yang casually said, we're all king-level experts now. But, the foundation that we laid when we were martial great masters and revered martial artists is dozens of times stronger than yours. Therefore, what we can do, you can't do. This is the reason. The king-level experts suddenly became lost. After lunch, Mo Qingwu mysteriously pulled Chu Yang to one side. Brother Chu Yang, I found out a secret of yours. Secret? Chu Yang scratched his head. He was very surprised. What secret? Humph. There's hair on your clothes. Long hair. Mo Qingwu pouted her small mouth. She rolled her eyes and looked at Chu Yang. Oh, it's this. He took out the piece of cloth. On it, a strand of black hair fluttered. It seemed to be a strand of tenderness, but there was nothing he could do. Long hair. Chu Yang's mind was palpitating with fear as he received it. His fingers gently stroked the long hair. The long hair softly curled up in the palm of his hand. It was as if there was a woman who had placed all of her heart and all of her feelings in the palm of his hand. Suddenly, a graceful figure appeared in his mind. She stood there alone, her long hair fluttering in the wind, her beautiful face, her dreamy eyes, and her stubborn yet proud lips. A black robe covered her slim and delicate body. When she turned around, her face was covered with a ferocious mask. She looked at Chu Yang with tenderness in her eyes. From now on, I am king of Hell Chu. Isn't this what you want? Isn't this what you've planned from the start? Chu Yang couldn't help but feel pain in his heart when he heard these words. The shinobi cult was devastatingly beautiful. He transformed into a black robe, a heart of ice and bones of jade. To be the masked man for the monarch. Wu Qian. If there was anyone in the lower three heavens that Chu Yang felt indebted to, then this person was none other than Wu Qian. His daughter's infatuation with him had turned into flowing water, never to return. That young and beautiful girl was such a pitiful person. Chu Yang sighed softly. No wonder after returning from Great Jiao, Wu Qian's hair seemed to have become shorter and thinner. It was just that he didn't ask at that time. It turned out that this woman had actually given her head of fine black hair full of deep affection, and turned it into the black robe on his body. He recalled that he still had 30 or 40 such black robes in his tribulation space. Sewing them one by one. Wu Qian must have spent a lot of effort. Presumably, every time she finished sewing a black robe, her heart would be shattered into pieces, right? Chu Yang sighed in disappointment. Mo Qingwu looked at him and said softly, Brother Chu Yang, I'm going over there to look for Brother Lone to play. She tactfully walked to the side, seeming to be very light. Chu Yang grunted and nodded slowly, somewhat absent-mindedly. Then he took out another black robe and slowly rubbed it, looking over it bit by bit. Finally, he found a protrusion at the hem of the robe, the most inconspicuous place. Wu Qianqian had sewed her hair here. If Mo Qingwu hadn't found it by chance, perhaps he wouldn't have realized that there was such a girl's heart hidden at the hem of his black robe. This protrusion was very dense, as if it was one or several complete shapes. Chu Yang's hands trembled. He wanted to know, but he also didn't want to know. Finally, he took a deep breath and found a flat bluestone. He circulated his martial power and slapped it down. With a bang, the black robe fluttered and the fabric scattered, leaving only the long black hair. The long hair softly fell on the bluestone, showing the pattern inside the robe. It was a few fine and graceful words. Chu Yang, Qian likes you. These words were woven with black hair, quietly appearing in front of Chu Yang. There was no doubt that all the other black robes would have the same 7 words on them. She had used a strand of her black hair to wrap around the black robe. How could her black hair be discovered under the black robe? Moreover, it was at the hem of the robe, the most inconspicuous place. It wouldn't cause any skin contact. Wu Qianqian obviously didn't want Chu Yang to find out. She just silently put her feelings into this robe. She only hoped that when Chu Yang wore these black robes, her hair would be by his side. This was her only request. This woman, she loved so lowly, yet she loved so proudly. If you don't accept me, I won't force you. I won't even say that I have my pride, I have my self-esteem. It doesn't matter if you don't love me, but you can't stop me from loving you. I love you secretly. Is that not enough? Chu Yang's heart suddenly felt heavy. He suddenly remembered that Wu Qianqian had stubbornly wanted to wear a mask during the last confrontation between him and the Golden Horse Riders department. She wanted to fight for him, but he had stopped her at that time. Moreover, he had said, I already owe another woman a lifetime. I don't want to owe you a lifetime. These words were extremely hurtful to Wu Qianqian. It actually caused her to immediately agree to Tai Bu Tian's proposal after that battle, to become the Empress of Iron Cloud Nation. He remembered the sadness and despair in Wu Qianqian's eyes when he resolutely left the lower 3 heavens that morning. That kind of desperate hysteria, Chu Yang's heart ached. He only felt bitterness in his heart. He silently said, Qian, I'm sorry. Now, she and Tai Bu Tian are married, right? Tai Bu Tian is also a good man. I can only wish her happiness. How could Chu Yang know that Wu Qianqian's so-called marriage with Tai Bu Tian was fake? If he knew, Chu Yang heaved a long sigh. He only felt that his heart was full of twists and turns. It was as if he was in a dream. He wanted to destroy the black robe. But, he thought for a long time, and decided to keep it. It would be very cruel to that pitiful and infatuated girl if I destroyed it. This is her only hope for me. Chu Yang stood up. The sun shone on the black robe. He suddenly felt that the black robe on his body was burning hot. It seemed as if his skin was burning with pain. It was the burning heart of a young girl. The black robe was as heavy as a mountain. It seemed as if he couldn't breathe under the pressure. His brothers were far away. They were talking about something. They deliberately didn't look at him. They were talking and laughing. But, Chu Yang knew that they were doing it on purpose. They deliberately didn't disturb his thoughts at this moment. Alas! Chu Yang heaved a long sigh. Is Brother Chu here? A cheerful voice came from afar. I'm Ou Du Xiao of the Ou clan. I've come to visit Brother Chu. Ou Du Xiao of the Ou clan, the future poison spirit, had finally arrived. Chu Yang sorted out his state of mind. He stood up, and went forward to greet him. Lower 3 heavens, Iron Cloud Imperial Palace. Tai Bu Tian was lazily sitting on the bed. She had already removed the jade pendant, and had revealed her true appearance. Lan Maixian was sitting on one side. She was looking at her younger brother with satisfaction. The more she looked, the more she was beaming with joy. Lan Maixian had been taking care of her pregnant daughter like a diligent and responsible mother these days. In fact, she was so meticulous that even the Emperor of Iron Cloud, who had always served her like a moon surrounded by a myriad of stars, felt that she was being very considerate. Tai Bu Tian's lower abdomen had already bulged a little. It was a sign that a young life was growing healthily. It's already been 4 months. Lan Maixian was counting the days with her fingers every day. There are still 5.5 months left. It's almost there. She should give birth in 5 months and a few days. Master, you've calculated so clearly. Tai Bu Tian was somewhat embarrassed. What's there to be embarrassed about? It's normal for a woman to give birth. Lan Maixian was beaming with joy as she looked at her. Don't worry, my good disciple. You don't have to worry about anything with your master here. Tai Bu Tian blushed and smiled. While Lan Maixian was here, Tai Bu Tian had found the same feeling she had when her mother was still here. It seemed that she didn't have to worry about anything. Where's your empress? Why haven't I seen her during this time? Lan Maixian was somewhat amused as she looked at her younger brother. You little girl. Oh, you even got an empress. Aren't you harming her? She's busy these days. Tai Bu Tian naturally didn't dare to say that her empress was king of Hell Chu. She said, I asked her to come over. Now that I'm a little pregnant, I want to discuss the follow-up with her. As she said this, she put on the jade pendant. The light and shadow changed, and she turned into that emperor again. She took a few steps forward and said indifferently, Someone, invite the empress over. Tell her that I have something to discuss with her. Yes, the attendant complied and left. Not long after, the pendant jingled. A sharp voice reported from outside, the empress has arrived. Second update for today, I don't know why, but I'm especially tired today. The plot kept surging in my mind, but my fingers didn't want to move. They felt as if they were rusty. Maybe I've been too tired during this time. Chapter 483. The palace maid lifted the curtain. Wu Qian was wearing a phoenix crown and a phoenix robe. She walked over in a graceful manner. Moreover, her walking posture was a little strange. The palace already knew that the empress was pregnant. So, Wu Qian naturally didn't dare to neglect her. How could she expose a flaw, Your Majesty? Wu Qian bowed. Her posture and movements were impeccable. Empress, you don't need to be so polite. Tai Bu Tian hastily helped her up. Then, she waved her hand, you can all withdraw. Pass down my order. No one is allowed to come within 100 steps of this place. The palace maids and eunuchs retreated without a trace as soon as the order was issued. Qian, sit. Tai Bu Tian stood up and said with a smile, there are no outsiders here. You don't need to pretend anymore. Haha. Wu Qian naturally recognized Lan Maixian. After all, she had seen how powerful she was. On the contrary, Lan Maixian didn't know that this delicate empress was the black-robed and gloomy king of Hell Chu. Hearing this, he smiled and sat down in a relaxed manner. This is the empress. She's a stunning beauty. Lan Maixian looked at Wu Qian with satisfaction. Then, she praised, her eyebrows are curved but unyielding. Her eyes are clear but not evil. Her face is as straight as a hibiscus. Her nose is tall but gentle, stubborn and proud. She's a stunning beauty. Senior, you flatter me. Wu Qian bowed slightly. We're currently fighting in the south and north. However, the lower 3 heavens are already invincible. There aren't any decisive battles. Iron Cloud's unification of the world is inevitable. Tai Bu Tian said, therefore, the matter of the emperor will be celebrated by the world at that time. Qian, you must be prepared. Wu Qian smiled and said, that's my duty. Your Majesty, please rest assured. Tai Bu Tian laughed out loud. Then, she began to instruct Wu Qian on some daily life matters. Wu Qian memorized them one by one. Lan Maixian added a few words from time to time. However, Lan Maixian suddenly became startled. She didn't speak anymore. She only looked at Wu Qian. The more she looked, the more she frowned. Finally, Lan Maixian suddenly stood up with a bang while Tai Bu Tian was speaking. She looked at Wu Qian and exclaimed in surprise, mysterious yin female body? Wu Qian suddenly raised her head. Ah? Lan Maixian quickly walked to her side. She grabbed her wrist and carefully examined it. The expression on her face became increasingly excited. Mysterious yin female body. It is indeed the Shen yin female body that is rarely seen in 10,000 years. She sucked in a breath of cold air with a hiss. Then, she turned her head and looked at Tai Butian. She smiled bitterly and speechlessly. This iron-cloud imperial palace really makes me speechless. I found an icy heart jade bone the moment I arrived here. And now, I found a fake phoenix virtual phoenix. She actually has the mysterious yin female body. Moreover, it's the mysterious yin female body. Lan Maixian's cultivation was already at the peak of the present age. But, she still couldn't recover from the shock of this fact for a long time. Even though he had already confirmed this fact, he still felt like he was dreaming. If that was the case, then Ironcloud Imperial Palace was a place that martial arts masters would be most happy to visit. Why? He had casually picked up a younger brother with the most satisfactory aptitude. It was very difficult for a disciple to become a disciple of a great master. But, it was even more difficult for a great master to find a younger brother who could inherit his legacy and surpass his master. Tai Butian and Wu Qianqian's exceptional aptitude couldn't be found even in the upper three heavens. But, two of them had appeared here at once. Wu Qianqian was somewhat alarmed because Chu Yang had told her that it was best not to let others see her aptitude. This was very dangerous. There were many people in the world who loved talents rather than being jealous of talents. What's your current cultivation level? Lan Maixian stared at Wu Qianqian. Then, she nodded. Revered martial artist. You're only one step away from becoming a king. Hey, what are you practicing? She looked at the girl in front of her in puzzlement. You're in the lower three heavens, and you're already a revered martial artist at such a young age? I. Wu Qianqian nervously looked at Tai Butian. Tai Butian nodded and comforted her. This is my master. Don't worry. It's Ice Jade God, Wu Qianqian said weakly. Ice Jade God. Lan Maixian tightly knitted her brows. What is this? Why don't I have the slightest impression of it? How would she know that Chu Yang had changed the name of this technique? Even Wu Qianqian was confused. She didn't know anything about it. Let me see if you can exchange a few moves with me. Lan Maixian stretched out her hand, and a gentle force swept away all the messy things in the room to one side. A large area of the floor was left empty. But, there was no sound of movement. Tian, you go to one side. You just watch. Lan Maixian said. Tai Butian complied and sat in the corner. Master, you have to be lenient. Don't worry. I'm only testing her limits. It's not a life and death battle. Besides, how would she have the opportunity to fight if I wanted to deal with this little girl? Lan Maixian confidently smiled. I'll suppress my strength to the level of revered martial artist. Then, I'll give her a try. It would be a pity if such aptitude isn't cultivated properly. Come. Little girl. Lan Maixian's eyes flashed with excitement. She had only shown this kind of excitement 3 times in the past 100 years. The first time was when she had seen Yang Ruolan. The second time was when she had seen Tai Bu Tian. And, the third time was this very moment. Good. Wu Qianqian took out a small pillow from her clothes. Then, she tidied up her clothes. She looked at Lan Maixian, and shook her arms. Suddenly, a burst of cold aura was emitted. Her eyes had also turned into the color of the dark night at this moment. Hey! Lan Maixian exclaimed in surprise. Then, she saw Wu Qianqian's body sway. She turned into a series of after-images, and rushed towards her. She put her fingers together, and used a sword move. Then, a kai sound was heard from where her fingers were pointing. And, the sound of sword energy breaking through the air was heard. Lan Maixian was gobsmacked. I didn't expect this little girl to be so special. Her movements are also so strange. She tilted her head, and dodged. Then, her hands attacked like orchids. She was a great master of martial arts. So, she would have been disgraced if she had been attacked by a junior. How could Wu Qianqian know the level of her opponent? I'll fight to my heart's content. I'll fight to my heart's content. I'll fight first, and then talk later. She won't hurt me anyway. So, I'll practice. Wu Qianqian's body became even more unrestrained under the influence of this thought. And her sword became even sharper. Lan Maixian relied on the strength of a revered martial artist for a while. But she was at a disadvantage. She had lived for many years, and had reached the peak of self-cultivation. But she still couldn't keep her face intact. She snorted, and spread her hands. It seemed as if thousands of orchids had bloomed at the same time. Wu Qianqian's feet staggered. Her body moved like a strange fish, and escaped from Lan Maixian's attack range. She had retreated unscathed under this attack. Lan Maixian shouted, "Good." Then, she rushed forward, and attacked like a violent storm. Wu Qianqian clumsily moved left and right. She gradually couldn't keep up. After all, this was her first time using this kind of fighting technique. So, she wasn't proficient in many areas. Lan Maixian sensed her unfamiliarity. So, she slowed down her pace to give her time to catch her breath and familiarize herself. Lan Maixian floated out after a long while, and sat on a chair. Enough. She sized up Wu Qianqian with her eyes. It seemed as if she was looking at a peerless treasure. That was because she had clearly felt that Wu Qianqian was making progress in this short period of fighting. In fact, her spiritual power was also increasing unceasingly. She had never seen such a cultivation speed before. This woman is perfect in terms of aptitude, perception, and character. She's like a piece of unpolished jade. But she's already emitting an unparalleled brilliance. She'll inevitably emit a world-shocking brilliance if she encounters a skilled craftsman. Then, she'll transform into an indisputable treasure. It's a pity that you two have to stay in the lower three heavens with your aptitudes. Lan Maixian muttered, "Tian Tian, how about I take away your empress after you give birth?" "Take away?" Tai Bu Tian and Wu Qianqian asked in surprise. Yes, Lan Maixian took a deep breath and said, her aptitude is simply a treasure in the lower three heavens. She'll be able to make a breakthrough in the shortest time if she goes to the upper three heavens. Moreover, I'll recommend a great teacher to her. Her achievements will be limitless. Tai Bu Tian muttered to herself. Then, she turned her head and said, "Qian Qian, what do you think?" Wu Qianqian pondered for a long time. Then, she said, "I want to go. But I'll go after I'm done here. Won't I be able to hear news about Chu Yang from time to time if I go to the upper three heavens? We won't be together. But I'll be able to help him if my strength increases. Even if I have to sacrifice my life without him knowing. I, Wu Qianqian, am willing to do it." Tai Bu Tian nodded and said, "In that case, you'll be sick for a while after giving birth. Then, I'll announce that the Empress has passed away after giving birth. Alas, you'll go to the upper three heavens." Wu Qianqian's eyes revealed a grateful look. She said, "Yes. Not just her. You too." Lan Maixian looked at Tai Bu Tian. "Did I accept you as my younger brother so that you can become the emperor of the lower three heavens?" "Me?" Tai Bu Tian stared blankly for a long time. Then, she smiled bitterly and said, "How can I leave? How can I leave? Of course, you can't leave for the time being. But you'll still be unable to leave as long as the child in your belly grows up a little." Lan Maixian smiled. "If it's a princess, it'll naturally take a little longer for you to make arrangements. But if it's an empress," Tai Bu Tian's breathing became rapid. She hadn't thought about this matter all this time. Or, it could be said that she had deliberately avoided it. Because she didn't want to have any ulterior motives mixed in with saving the person she loved. But now, she realized that the birth of her child had solved the big problem of the Ironclad Empire being childless. Chapter 484. Chu Yang felt the difference between the Ou clan and the Xie clan when he entered the Ou clan this time. The entire Ou clan's manor was dark in color. One could feel a gloomy aura from afar. Grey walls, grey roof tiles, grey buildings were everywhere. High quality update fastest ***, even the surrounding trees seemed to have turned grey. Sure enough, it's the Thousand Poison clan. Chu Yang nodded silently. The Ou clan was famous for their poison techniques. And, Poison was an extremely difficult thing to control. Its formidable power was terrifying. But it could injure oneself if it wasn't used properly. Grey was the color of most poisons. It was also the color of death. Half of the people would feel gloomy when they enter this place. But the people who refined and used poisons would feel safe and at ease here. Chu Yang suddenly stopped halfway and said, Du Xing, you don't need to accompany me. You should accompany Wu Shong and Ji Mo to look for the Dong clan and the Ji clan. You should take the things they need. Or, you should greet them. It would be disadvantageous to delay this matter for too long. Jiu Du Xing's complexion was cold and gloomy. He remained motionless as he said, Yes. This matter shouldn't be delayed. I will take them there. Then, he turned his head towards Oyu Du Xiao. Brother Oyu, I'll have to trouble you to receive Big Brother Chu. We still have some matters to attend to. We will come to visit Brother Oyu another day. Oyu Du Xiao was stunned. He said, What matters do you have to attend to now? My clan has already prepared a banquet. This. Jiu Du Xing exposed a deep smile on his face and said, Brother Oyu, we have plenty of time in the future. So, you don't need to be anxious. Besides, I'm only going to your clan to drink and have fun. But, I'm accompanying Wu Shong and Ji Mo to attend to an urgent matter. Brother Oyu, please forgive me. He cupped his fists and bowed. Then, he turned around and left with a whistling sound. The 14 people left with a whooshing sound. Ji Mo impatiently asked after they had walked for some time, What important matter do I have? What does Big Brother want us to do? Big Brother doesn't want us to do anything. Dong Wu Shong's complexion was as iron as he said, he just doesn't want us to be caught in the enemy's net. So, Big Brother is in danger. Ji Mo's complexion suddenly changed. He stopped his footsteps. Big Brother would have been in danger if we had gone in together, but we are outside now. So, Big Brother is safe, Jiu Du Xing coldly said, the dead tell no tales. So, the Oyu clan will certainly dare to make a move if we all die together. However, we're not together. We clearly know that Big Brother has entered the Oyu clan. And, the Oyu clan will inevitably face the wrath of our 4 great clans if he doesn't come out. They don't dare to hurt boss. Dong Wushang nodded. They don't have the guts. Mo Qing Wu followed him silently for a while. Then, she suddenly raised her head and said, But, elder brother Chu Yang, how do you know that there will be danger this time? Jiu Du Xing and Dong Wushong looked at each other. This little girl's question had hit the nail on the head. That's because Oyu Du Xiao was too enthusiastic today. Jiu Du Xing indifferently said, so enthusiastic that we felt that it was somewhat fake. Dong Wushong coldly smiled and said, That's because we don't have such a deep friendship with Oyu Du Xiao. Why did Oyu Du Xiao come alone? Why did he say that he would arrange a banquet? Moreover, he said that he would satisfy all of Big Brother's needs. This is too much. At the end of the day, this is just a transaction, nothing more. Mo Qing Wu nodded as if she understood something. She then said, So, excessive enthusiasm is also a flaw. Jiu Du Xing nodded, the so-called feelings are accumulated over a long period of time. Only then can they gain mutual recognition. And, they can further deepen their relationship with each other on the basis of mutual recognition. They have reached a certain level. And, they have transcended the level of fair-weather friends. They have become true friends. But, this level is also the most dangerous level for a friend. Why? Mo Qing Wu wasn't the only one who was asking this question. Even Ji Mo and Luo Ku Di were somewhat puzzled. Because they have reached such a level. And, they consider each other as friends who are worth relying on and trusting. But, friends can't be said to be friends. They want to do something together at such a time. And, it will inevitably involve benefits if they want to do something together. Of course, it's benefits for the average person. But, it's life and death for the people of Jianghu. Therefore, true friends will encounter trials. They will encounter some things as a touchstone. It may be an arrangement of the underworld. Or, it may be a person's greedy heart that causes mischief. But, many friends often turn against each other and become enemies over these matters. And, they part ways. In fact, They may even fight to the death. Jiu Du-shing sighed and said, and, Big Brother has done very well in this matter. Therefore, we brothers have come to be. Dong Wushong sighed deeply. He suddenly recalled that Chu Yang's hands had been pierced by a dagger. And, he couldn't help but feel hot in his heart. So, he heavily said, yes. Let's go a bit further away. That way, the OU clan will have some misgivings. This will make it more convenient for Big Brother to make a smooth transaction inside. Jiu Du-shing said, everyone, let's speed up. Everyone complied. And, they flew all the way. How come only one person has come? A person on the OU clan's gatehouse muttered doubtfully. Could it be that things have changed? Another person was also somewhat puzzled. It can't be. Our informants in the Xie clan have sent back information that Chu Yang and his brothers had entered the Xie clan together. Moreover, they had stayed inside for a few days. And, they had gotten drunk in the end. So, how could such a change have occurred in our place? That's right. This bastard has a lot of money. I have heard that he has tens of billions of gold notes and materials. It seems that we can only obtain tens of billions of gold notes at most this time. Nonsense. He has come alone. Do you think that we can kill him? Another person said in an irritated manner, but, we will have to face the 4 big clans. OU Du Xiao had already entered the OU clan's manor along with Chu Yang while these 2 people were still in doubt. Ha ha ha. Du Xiao, this is King of Hell Chu, right? He is indeed young and promising, a young hero. A man in a brocade robe came forward in large strides. 5 grey-clothed people were following him. Everyone's eyes looked at Chu Yang. Brother Chu, this is my father. OU Du Xiao smiled. So, it's the OU clan's lord. I'm Chu Yang. Chu Yang smiled. He was neither servile nor overbearing. Minister Chu is too polite. The OU clan's clan lord OU Cheng Wu straightforwardly smiled. We are indebted to Minister Chu for his grace. We have already prepared the materials for Minister Chu. Minister Chu, please come and take a look. All right. Chu Yang smiled. May I know what else Minister Chu needs? However, our OU clan will certainly do everything for the minister. OU Cheng Wu laughed out loud. Then, he accompanied Chu Yang as they walked forward. He said, I heard that Minister Chu had purchased the materials at a price 20% higher than the market price. This is a big favor. It doesn't matter. Anything that catches my eye and enters my heart is priceless. Chu Yang said, everyone has their own preferences. This Chu won't hold back as long as the OU clan's lord has suitable materials or medicinal herbs. I won't hold back until I spend my last penny. Minister Chu is very straightforward. OU Cheng Wu burst into loud laughter. Then, he winked and said, let Du Xiao accompany Minister Chu to select the materials since this is the case. We will arrange a banquet in the hall and wait for Minister Chu to get drunk. OU clan's lord, please. Chu Yang smiled. His expression was modest. OU Cheng Wu burst into laughter again. Then, he turned around and left with everyone. Clan lord, this person has come alone. This is a bit difficult to handle, someone said in a low voice after they had walked for some distance. What's so difficult to handle? OU Cheng Wu coldly snorted and said, he is obviously guarding against us. So, he has deliberately dispersed. But, he is still a little inexperienced after all. We can't make a move in our own home. But, wouldn't they have joined forces? What's so difficult about making a move after they meet up? Clan Lord is wise. The sword spirit awoke from his meditative state in Chu Yang's mind. Sword Lord, what kind of wolf's den are you in? Why is there a murderous aura all around? I'm in the OU clan now. So, I should be fine, Chu Yang chuckled. The aura all around you is unfavorable to you. Everyone's divine sense is like that of a hungry wolf. The sword spirit was somewhat worried. You'd better withdraw from here if you can. I know, Chu Yang calmly replied. A cold light flashed in his eyes. He had exposed his financial resources in the Xie clan. And, he had befriended the Xie clan because of this. However, the OU clan couldn't hide their movements from them. He had strong financial resources. Moreover, he had the entire inventory of the Xie clan in his hands. So, the Ou clan would obviously covet it. It seems that the Ou clan has made up their mind to deal with me and the others this time. Let's see who will deal with whom. Chu Yang coldly snorted in his heart. Ou Du Xiao's face was full of smiles. He led Chu Yang forward. Then, he stretched out his hand and pointed in the air. He said, "Brother Chu, there's a secret door switch in that row of rooms in front of us. You'll find a tunnel after you open it. All the hidden treasures of my Ou clan are in that underground secret room." Chu Yang kindly smiled and said, "Your clan is very cautious." This place was the central location of the Ou clan's watermark of setting sail. It was surrounded in all directions. Moreover, hidden sentries had been set up at the highest points. The security was tight. It was indeed extremely tight. Ou Du Xiao laughed out loud and said, "A man without foresight is bound to have immediate worries." They had arrived in front of the door while they were talking. Ou Du Xiao stretched out his hand and opened the switch. A creaking sound echoed, and two secret passageways were revealed. Ou Du Xiao asked, "Brother Chu, there are some rare materials on this side. And, there's our medicinal storehouse on this side. There are also many heavenly treasures on this side." "Ha. Brother Chu, which side do you want to take a look at first?" Chu Yang's eyes lit up. He said, "Heavenly treasures. Brother Ou's words have made my heart itch. So, how about we take a look at these heavenly treasures first?" Ou Du Xiao laughed out loud and said, "This isn't difficult. Brother Chu, come with me." Then, he walked towards the secret passageway on the left. The dark golden door on the top of the secret passageway slowly closed after the two of them had entered. Then, it was tightly shut. The torches in the secret passageway seemed to have received some kind of order as the entrance was closed. They spontaneously ignited with a bang sound. However, no smoke came out. Instead, bursts of sweet fragrance filled the air. I was dumbstruck after I got up today. My monthly votes have been surpassed. Moreover, they've been surpassed by so much. I sigh. Brothers and sisters, I need your strength. I beg for your monthly votes. I've fought to this extent. I can only advance without retreat. I'll fight with my last breath. I'll press forward courageously. Chapter 485. What an exquisite design, Chu Yang praised from the bottom of his heart. This is just a small trick. Brother Chu must be joking. Ou Du Xiao smiled and took the lead to leave. A trace of complex emotions flashed through his eyes. Ou Du Xiao was obviously aware of the clan's arrangement. To be honest, Ou Du Xiao didn't approve of the clan's arrangement and means. After all, Chu Yang had given him face at that time. He was willing to extend the time limit, and was even willing to propose this alternative method. So, he had already prepared a way out for himself. This was a big favor. It didn't matter whether Chu Yang had any ulterior motives or not. But, he had prevented the Ou clan from losing face in front of the heroes of the world. Ou Du Xiao was very grateful at first. And, he really wanted to repay Chu Yang. So, he wanted to give him the materials that were worth 525 million at the very least. After all, Chu Yang had the support of 4 big clans. So, his strength couldn't be underestimated. It would naturally be a good thing for the Ou clan if they could have such an ally. However, this situation suddenly changed after they heard about the Xie clan's matter. In the blink of an eye, everyone's thoughts change. 10 billion in wealth. Moreover, the Xie clan had tens of billions in reserves. What kind of huge assets was this? It couldn't be denied that the total financial resources of the Ou clan and the Xie clan would be greater if the Ou clan could have these assets. The Ou clan's strength would rise to a new level if this wealth was used to recruit expert. The Ou clan was already one of the top clans of the upper 3 heavens. What would it be if it could go one step further? It would replace the Ao clan, and become the number 1 clan of the upper 3 heavens. And, what did it mean to be the number 1 clan? This wasn't just a matter of ranking. It was more of a matter of appeal. More and more people would come to seek refuge with the title of the number 1 clan. And the strength of the clan would also become more stable. It wouldn't be strange even if the clan were to kill its way to the upper three heavens after a period of time. Why is the Ao clan the number one clan? Didn't they suddenly discover a treasure more than 200 years ago? The Ao clan used to be similar to our OU clan. But their strength soared after they got that treasure. What did they rely on to achieve all this? Their financial resources. The words of an elder of the OU clan had thoroughly aroused the ambitions of everyone. Everyone doesn't know the true value of the treasures that the Ao clan has discovered. But the Ao clan wouldn't be at its current scale if the value of the treasures had exceeded a certain limit. Instead, it was even bigger, stronger. Therefore, I estimate that the treasure is only worth tens of billions, that's all. Now, we can say with certainty that we will obtain at least the same amount of wealth as Ao clan as long as we obtain all of King of Hell Chu's wealth. In fact, we may even obtain more than that. After all, it contains the treasuries of Xie clan that have been accumulated for hundreds of years. What's the difference between this and a treasure? The future of the OU clan will rise at this moment. So what are we waiting for? Even if it's risky, we still have to do it once. The elder's eloquent words made everyone's blood boil. That's right. Moreover, these four big clans are only supporting King of Hell Chu on the surface. They are relying on personal friendship, and not on the benefits of their clans. This is somewhat thought-provoking. The young clan lord of the Jiyu clan is in charge of the entire clan. But the Jiyu clan isn't a top-notch clan. The clan lord of the OU clan OU Cheng Wu continued to analyze, and the other clans Dong clan, Luo clan, and Ji clan are all second dukes. We may kill them. But we will be removing future troubles for the great dukes of these clans to some extent. So, the backlash won't be too big even if the news leaks out. But who will know that we did it if we do it secretly? The entire OU clan had made up their minds under such an atmosphere. And OU Du Xiao's thoughts had also quietly changed at that moment. For the supreme glory of the number one clan, so what if he killed a few people whom he had never met before? Which clan doesn't have a mountain of corpses when it rises in the three heavens? How can a real man do things if they are trapped by mere sentiments? Everyone had decided to carry out this operation under the unity of their hearts. The situation had changed. Jiyu Du Xing and the others hadn't followed them. However, this didn't hinder OU Du Xiao's thoughts. On the contrary, this had aroused his killing intent even more. Do you think this is enough? Do you think that I won't deal with you like this? This is ridiculous. OU Du Xiao's face was cordial and cordial. However, Chu Yang could clearly feel the coldness in his heart. However, he didn't show it on his face. Instead, his face had become even more cordial and warm. In fact, he had become even more intimate with OU Du Xiao. The two of them held each other's arms. It seemed as if they were old friends who had fallen in love with each other for decades. In fact, they were confiding in each other. It seemed as if they were speaking the words that were in their hearts. They were so cordial that they could become sworn brothers with just a few words. A big stone room appeared in front of Chu Yang after they had turned a few corners. A sparkling and translucent white light was flickering inside. It turned out to be a jade shelf and a jade box. It was a dazzling lineup. Warm jade shelf, heavenly fragrant jade box. Brother OU, you've left me dumbstruck. Chu Yang was genuinely startled. The rare warm jade was regarded as a treasure in the lower three heavens. However, it was made into a shelf in this place. The heavenly fragrant jade was second only to the purple crystal in terms of preserving medicinal herbs. The purple crystal could preserve medicinal herbs for 1,000 years. The heavenly fragrant jade couldn't preserve medicinal herbs for 1,000 years. However, it could still preserve medicinal herbs for 500 years. In fact, the heavenly fragrant jade surpassed the white crystal and the blue crystal in terms of preservation. The heavenly fragrant jade didn't have the strange power and spiritual energy of the white crystal and the blue crystal. However, it was still top-notch in terms of preserving medicinal herbs. The preservation of heavenly treasures is far different from that of other medicinal herbs. OU Du Xiao somewhat sighed and said, We had spent endless financial resources to get these things in the beginning. So, how can we let outsiders know about the bitter process that led to the present scale? Brother Chu, you should understand the joys and sorrows of this process. That's indeed the case. Chu Yang nodded in agreement. The rise of a clan is bound to be accompanied by countless bitterness, blood, and tears. Countless heroes have stepped forward one after another for hundreds or thousands of years. Alas, the decline of a clan is very easy. Oyu Du Xiao sighed and said, yes, there are countless powerful enemies in the heavens. In fact, one doesn't even know when one offends someone. And that person can lead to the extermination of a clan. Countless painstaking efforts of the predecessors have been wasted. That's right. Chu Yang sighed and said, but there are two common causes of disaster. First, it's a debauchee. Second, it's a big disaster because of greed. Oyu Du Xiao's eyes flashed. He felt that Chu Yang's words seemed to have a profound meaning. Why did he mention greed at this time? He smiled and said, but riches and honor come from danger. There are many things that one can't help about. Especially when one reaches the top of the pole. One can't take any risks if they don't move forward in an awkward situation. In fact, they will also decline. The helplessness of a big clan is just like the exploration of a hero. Brother Chu, we must learn from this. Chu Yang smiled calmly and said, Brother Oyu is very wise. However, he didn't speak again. He only waited for Oyu Du Xiao to introduce the medicinal herbs. He had wanted to see how Oyu Du Xiao would react a moment ago. However, Oyu Du Xiao's words had made Chu Yang's heart burn with killing intent. It seems that you have decided to seek riches and honor. Very good. Very good. Since that's the case, I can only seek riches and honor. Oyu Du Xiao probed to see if Chu Yang was aware of it. However, he couldn't help but feel ashamed when he saw that Chu Yang was looking at him warmly. Chu Yang's eyes were shining with kindness and magnanimity. He quickly took 2 steps forward and said, Brother Chu, please take a look. This is the 5-colored jade petal orchid in the first jade box. This kind of medicine only grows at the bottom of a deep and secluded valley. It doesn't see the slightest bit of sunlight all year round. So, it can only grow 1 color every 100 years. It takes 500 years for it to have 5 colors. This 5-colored jade petal orchid is already brightly colored. Moreover, it already has a jade-like sparkling and translucent divine light. It is at least 1,500 years old. It has a miraculous effect in treating internal injuries. It can also dispel poison. It can be regarded as a divine medicine. Brother Chu, do you like it? Chu Yang carefully looked at it and said, unfortunately, it would have been a first-grade medicine if it could have completely turned into jade. This plant is precious, but it still lacks maturity. It won't be of much use to me. Oyu Du Xiao's face stiffened as he said, Brother Chu is joking. It would have taken at least 5,000 years of maturity if it had completely turned into jade. He closed the lid of the jade box while he was speaking, and pushed it back. Then, he nimbly opened the second jade box and said, Brother Chu, what about this one? This is the Millennium Grass Restoration Pill. The pill's body has already turned bright red. This one. I'll take it if it's translucent and white. Chu Yang continued to belittle it. Oyu Du Xiao's eyes flashed. He thought, this guy's vision is very high. It seems that I need some high-grade things. So, he opened the third jade box and said, Brother Chu, please take a look. Oyu Du Xiao opened 3 heavenly fragrance jade boxes in succession. But, Chu Yang only shook his head. He made a lot of comments, and picked out a bunch of problems. But, he didn't take out any money to buy it. It was obvious that he didn't like these things. He was already 3 or 4 steps away from the first jade box at this moment. Oyu Du Xiao gradually became impatient in his heart. He opened the 7th jade box. But, he didn't get enough time to open his mouth when he saw Chu Yang's eyes brighten up. He said, this thing is pretty good. He took a step forward, and lowered his head to sniff it. He then said, not bad, not bad. Oyu Du Xiao was delighted in his heart, you finally took a fancy to it. You kept shaking your head. You almost made me lose confidence in these hidden treasures of my clan. He hastily moved closer to Chu Yang, and said, "Brother Chu, this one wasn't easy to come by. It was picked from the raging volcano mountain. My OU clan had dispatched 3 king-level experts at that time." The 2 men gathered in front of the jade box, and started to make comments. Chu Yang finally said, "Brother OU, you take a look at this. The market price is about 2 million. I'll offer 2,500,000. How about it?" A wisp of a colorless and transparent thing quietly fell on the ground from the hem of Chu Yang's black robe when he had raised the price. It meandered on the ground as if it had a life of its own. Then, it drilled into the first jade box with a shua sound. "I don't have anything else. I only have thousands of brothers as my backing. I only have to fight," he proudly said. "Fengling has never been afraid of anyone in the past few years when it comes to fighting spirit. I only have one life. I only have to see if I dare to fight. That's all. I won't take a step back this month. I beg for monthly votes. I beg for monthly votes." Chapter 486. This jade box was originally tightly covered. But this strange thing was like an all-pervasive ghost. It had only drifted, and had penetrated into the box. There was no obstruction at all. High quality update OU Du Xiao didn't realize that his heart was brimming with a sense of accomplishment. Moreover, the price that Chu Yang had offered was very fair. So, he straightforwardly said, "Since Brother Chu wants it, then 2.5 million. He thought in his heart, "Anyway, you're just warming up your hands. These things will come back in a while." Chu Yang laughed out loud. He personally moved the jade box down, and placed it at the door. He then said, "Brother OU, you can put everything I want at the door. You can prepare a big package for me when you move out later. It'll be convenient that way." OU Du Xiao smiled and said, "What's the problem? It's as Brother Chu wishes. But, don't you want this jade box? I'm afraid it won't be easy to preserve it if you don't have this. I have my ways." Chu Yang forced a smile and said, "I can't buy much if I include the value of this jade box." OU Du Xiao laughed. The 2 of them continued to move forward, and opened the 8th jade box. What made OU Du Xiao depressed was that Chu Yang looked at every jade box. But he didn't want any of them. There were many priceless divine medicines in OU Du Xiao's eyes. But Chu Yang only glanced at them, and evaluated them. Then, he walked past them. Chu Yang looked at 10 jade boxes in a row. Then, he looked at a dream heart grass, and paid 5 million silver taels. After that, he looked at 5 more jade boxes. Then, he looked at a snow lotus heart. But the amount he paid this time was somewhat big. It was 20 million silver taels. Slowly, Chu Yang finished looking at 150 jade boxes on this side. But he only selected 1 jade box. This was very different from what OU Du Xiao had imagined. However, he wasn't in a hurry. After all, he would snatch it back no matter how many he chose. He walked to the other side. But Chu Yang was still very picky. He looked at half of the jade boxes, and only selected 2. And a whole morning had passed by. Fortunately, Chu Yang's speed was very fast. Otherwise, he wouldn't have finished looking at them in one day. Eventually, he finished looking at 300 jade boxes. OU Du Xiao was speechless. But Chu Yang had spent less than 100 million silver taels in this treasure trove. There were exactly 10 jade boxes, no more and no less. Chu Yang looked a little disappointed and said, "Brother OU, there's something I don't know if I should say." OU Du Xiao hastily said, "Brother Chu, there's no harm in speaking your mind. The 1,000-year heritage of the OU clan has indeed broadened my horizons. But, there are many kinds of treasures here. But it seems that there are only a few of them that are truly good. It seems that in the future, your family will have to put in more effort in terms of quality and not quantity." He shook his head and sighed. "Take me for example. When I saw such a large treasury, I thought that I would be able to return with a full load. But after looking through it all, I was greatly disappointed. Look at the world-defying stage, come to the world-defying stage. This is different from your family's 1,000 years of reputation. Oyu Du Xiao was so angry that his nose became crooked. He thought in his heart, there are so many heavenly treasures here, but you don't want them. Many of these divine medicines are almost on par with the great wonder medicines. But, you can't tell whether they are good or bad. You have eyes but fail to see. And, you're accusing our Oyu clan of lacking in resources? He forced a smile and said, yes, Brother Chu is right. In his heart, he thought, the clan has decided to get rid of this little guy. Motherfucker, he can make me depressed to death. Well, let's go over there and take a look if that's the case. Chu Yang said in a considerate manner, Brother Oyu, let people move these 10 medicinal herbs out. Then, find a package and put them inside. You don't have to worry about the medicinal efficacy of these herbs being lost. It's just right. Oyu Du Xiao gnashed his teeth in anger. He thought in his heart, you can only recognize these common goods. I used to think too highly of you. It's no wonder that a bumpkin from the lower 3 heavens would know something. Well, let's go out quickly. This is a sealed stone room. The medicinal efficacy will be lost if it is opened once. I don't like these herbs. But, they are the painstaking efforts of your family after all, so, it's better to close the door as soon as possible. Chu Yang casually said. However, the meaning of his words made Oyu Du Xiao so angry that he almost vomited blood. Brother Chu, you're absolutely right. I will close the door. Oyu Du Xiao's complexion turned ugly. He personally stacked the 10 jade boxes together. Then, he lifted them with one hand, and walked out first. Chu Yang chuckled and followed behind him. A wisp of light jumped out of the last jade box in the stone room, and touched the hem of Chu Yang's black clothes. Then, it flashed, and disappeared without a trace. Chu Yang felt a heat in his dantian. The sword point of the tribulation sword had returned with a belch. Then, he stepped out of the door. Oyu Du Xiao immediately pressed the mechanism, and locked the storehouse. He thought in his heart, I've finally invited this god of pestilence out. I'm so angry. Then, he called people to move the 10 jade boxes out. Then, the two of them walked towards the storehouse of precious materials on the other side. Chu Yang thought. Sword Spirit fiercely jumped up. Fuck, where did so much medicinal efficacy come from? This is too much. Sword Spirit suddenly became flustered. Does this little bastard want to explode? This is too much. 10 times more medicinal efficacy than the last time I looted Diwu Qing Ru's storehouse of medicinal ingredients. Oh no, it's dozens of times more. Sword Spirit didn't even have time to nag. He hastily used his hand to draw a circle, and drew a transparent area in the tribulation space. Then, he waved his other hand, and countless pure medicinal efficacies rushed in like a torrential flood. Sword Spirit had used 80% of his power to extract from Chu Yang's meridians. However, more and more medicinal efficacies were gushing out from the sword point of the tribulation sword. They were surging violently. Too much. Sword Spirit clenched his teeth, and used all of his power to fiercely absorb. I'll absorb again. Fuck, it's never over. Chu Yang's face suddenly turned red as soon as he walked into another hidden treasure house. Moreover, his body also became somewhat hot. The violent medicinal efficacies suddenly rushed out, and attacked Chu Yang's meridians. It felt as if they were about to break. Brother Chu, what's wrong with you? Oyu Du Xiao looked at Chu Yang in a strange manner. Why is your face so red all of a sudden? I'm so surprised. Chu Yang opened his eyes wide in pleasant surprise. His body was slightly trembling. It seemed as if he had discovered a new continent. It's so unexpected, so pleasantly surprised. Brother Oyu, you have so many top-notch forging materials here. It's great. Brother Oyu, I'm a little excited. I hope you don't mind. Haha, Brother Chu is a true lover. How can I take offense? Oyu Du Xiao felt very refreshed in his heart. Motherfucker, I've finally made you dumbstruck. Look at how your eyes are shining in shock. Your face is flushed, and your whole body is trembling pitifully. Humph. How could my Oyu clan not have any treasures? Chu Yang tried his best to control his body. But, he was still unable to endure the violent medicinal efficacies. So, he let out a strange cry, and rushed into the OU clan's storehouse. His eyes shone, and his hands and feet trembled. His entire body trembled as he stroked this item, and then stroked that item. Fuck, Star Iron R. Nightmare Steel R. Wow. Red Cloud Steel R. Gosh, there's mysterious golden sand here. Awesome. Is this heavenly silver? This is inconceivable. I'm extremely shocked. I'm so excited, oh my god. Chu Yang was extremely excited while inspecting the items. He was also praying in his heart, fuck, Sword Spirit Great Master, please hurry up. I can't hold on much longer here. Sword Spirit was trying his best to extract the medicinal efficacies in Chu Yang's mind. Soon. You have to hold on a little longer. But, I can't hold on much longer. Chu Yang screamed in his heart. Fuck, the medicinal herbs here can't be compared with the ones collected by Diwu Qingru in the lower three heavens. How can any of these be ordinary goods if they can enter the treasure house of a colossus like the OU clan? Every single one of them can lead to a fight. Chu Yang had commanded the sword point to search and confiscate the OU clan's property. So, it was very satisfying. However, the consequences were also incomparably fierce. There's a poison spirit behind me. This guy isn't stupid. It would have been bad if he had seen that Chu Yang wasn't excited, and had instead been stimulated by the medicinal efficacies. Eventually, the heat in Chu Yang's meridians began to subside just as he was about to lose control. The medicinal efficacies of the sword point of the Tribulation Sword had begun to diminish. Sword Spirit also heaved a sigh of relief. He continued to extract the medicinal efficacies and said, it's okay. You've finally returned to normal. The medicinal efficacies were like a tsunami earlier. Even an experienced and knowledgeable person like me was startled. Chu Yang finally heaved a sigh of relief. His complexion also gradually returned to normal. Oyu Du Xiao was behind Chu Yang. He was secretly happy to see Chu Yang so excited. However, he couldn't help but feel doubtful when he saw that Chu Yang was overly excited. It's impossible to be this excited, right? He was about to speak when he saw that Chu Yang had already turned around. He smiled embarrassedly and said, Brother Oyu, I couldn't restrain myself when I saw so many rare materials. Cough cough. I'm too ashamed to show my face. I've made a joke out of myself in front of Brother Oyu. It doesn't matter. This is human nature. Brother Chu is the embodiment of a real man's true nature. How can I make a joke out of you? Oyu Du Xiao's doubts disappeared. He laughed heartily and said, It seems that Brother Chu is very satisfied with these things. Satisfied. I'm naturally very satisfied. Chu Yang burst into loud laughter. His complexion had already returned to normal at this moment. The medicinal efficacies of the Tribulation Sword were still being output. However, the sword spirit had already absorbed them all. Chu Yang had chosen some relatively precious materials after some bargaining. He hadn't been stingy, and had thrown out more than 8 billion. Oyu Du Xiao opened the door, and let the servants of the Oyu clan come in one after another. Then, they moved out all the materials that Chu Yang had chosen. Then, they arranged 10 sturdy carriages according to Chu Yang's request, and put them on the carriages. Come to world-defying heavens to see world-defying heavens. Chapter 487. After eating and drinking to his heart's content, Chu Yang drank a few cups of tea and picked his teeth. Then, he calmly said his goodbyes. He declined Oyu Du Xiao's insincere invitation to stay. Then, he jumped on his horse, and drove the 10 big carriages away. Boundless confidence. High-quality update fastest ***, send 2 Emperor-level experts to follow him. The rest of you, stand by. Oyu Cheng Wu looked at Chu Yang's departing silhouette, and gave a gloomy order, don't get too close to them. Come back and report as soon as you discover that they have reunited. Then, the clan will dispatch experts to catch them all in one fell swoop. Yes. The 2 grey shadows flashed at the same time, and chased after him like birds. Oyu Cheng Wu's face was gloomy as he ordered, 2nd Elder, 3rd Elder, 4th Elder. Yes. Please give your orders, Patriarch. Immediately prepare the family's strong men. The 3 of you will lead the forces of 30 king-level experts. There will be 2 elders and 5 emperor-level experts. Get ready to attack at any time, yes. Once this matter is started, there is no turning back. He had to kill them all. 11 people from the Jiyu clan, 1 from the Ji clan, 1 from the Dong clan, 1 from the Luo clan, 1 from the Mo clan, and 1 from Chu Yang, a total of 10 people. If one of them managed to escape, it would be a huge problem. Got it? Yes. This old man is confident that none of these juniors will escape. The second elder's eyes flashed with intense killing intent. The strength of 5 emperor-level experts and 30 king-level experts was only enough to deal with 15 king-level experts. It was as easy as using a butcher's knife to kill a chicken. If the other party still managed to slip through the net with such strength, then it would be the biggest joke in the world. Chu Yang slowly drove the carriage under the moonlight. He looked relaxed and carefree. He didn't look vigilant at all. So, they continued to move forward after they had left the OU clan. Chu Yang slowly walked for 40 to 50 miles, and saw a large forest in front of him. Chu Yang drove the carriage to the edge of the forest, and then stopped. He quickly entered the carriage and put the items into the space of tribulation one by one as fast as he could. Then, he asked the sword spirit to make a big wine jar in the tribulation space and threw the 2 poisonous dragon mosquitoes' eyes into it. They were 2 bowl-sized pearls, the yin-yang poison dragon eyes. As long as the 2 of them were put together, there was no poison in the world that could not be cured. This thing was an indispensable treasure in the battle against the OU clan. After finishing all this, Chu Yang's body flashed, and he sat on the roof of the carriage. He took out a jug of wine from his bosom, and looked at the moon in the night sky. He poured himself a cup of wine, and drank by himself. However, the 2 emperor-level experts who were tailing him were very anxious because of this guy's leisurely demeanor. Fuck you, hurry up. Hurry up and meet up with the other little bastards. This old man and the others can catch all of you in one fell swoop. What was the point of dragging it out like this? Why aren't you leaving? Are you waiting for them here? However, isn't this place too close to our OU clan? Do you have the guts? Or do you trust us completely? After a long time, Chu Yang stretched his body and muttered to himself, it's already so late. I'm so sleepy. He slid down and made a bed on the floor. It looked like he was going to sleep. The 2 emperor-level experts were watching from afar. It seemed as if their eyes were about to spew fire. This bastard. However, Chu Yang was about to lie down when he suddenly sat up and muttered to himself, motherfucker, I drank too much wine in the OU clan. I'll urinate first. It would be very bad if I were to hold it in during the night. Then, he lifted his pants and rushed into the woods. The 2 emperor-level experts were speechless for a while. They then sighed to each other, motherfucker, it's our misfortune to have been assigned to follow such a guy. Motherfucker, it's night now, and there's no one around. Wouldn't you have solved this matter if you had lowered your head? You even went into the woods. You're a big man. Why are you so particular about this? They were speechless when they heard a rustling sound coming from the woods. Then, it seemed as if someone had farted twice. Chu Yang's muttering voice was heard, motherfucker, it seems that the OU clan is too enthusiastic. I ate a little too much. The rustling sound came from the trees. It seems that this guy is going to urinate all the way inside. The 2 emperor-level experts had black lines on their foreheads. Suddenly, a scream was heard, motherfucker, there's a black bear here. Then, they heard the sound of a struggle and the screams of a black bear. The 2 emperor-level experts were dumbstruck. They felt as if they had been struck by lightning. Where can you find such a good thing? You can even touch a black bear when you're defecating. The sound finally disappeared after a while. Then, someone's relieved voice resounded, it's finally done. Motherfucker, a bear came out when I was about to take off my pants. Then, there was no sound for a long time. The 2 emperor-level experts felt that something was wrong. They were about to go and take a look. But, they suddenly heard a burst of crackling sounds. This bastard has diarrhea. The 2 emperor-level experts were very far away. But, they still felt somewhat nauseous when they heard this sound. Their complexions turned pale, and they felt like vomiting. Then, Another burst of crackling sounds echoed after a while. Then, another burst of crackling sounds was heard after a while. It seems that this guy's diarrhea is very serious. Motherfucker, I remember that I didn't poison him in the OU clan for fear of arousing his suspicion. Could it be that someone has given him diarrhea medicine? The two Emperor-level experts were somewhat puzzled. Half an hour passed. But, the crackling sounds were still echoing from time to time. The two Emperor-level experts were speechless. You've eaten a lot, but you must have had a lot of diarrhea, right? How come you still have some left after listening to this sound? Suddenly, the two Emperor-level experts looked at each other, and saw the suspicion in each other's eyes. Something's wrong. Even an expert can't bear this continuous diarrhea, right? Moreover, he should be able to control it with his cultivation. The two Emperor-level experts jumped up and flew into the woods. They felt that the stench was overwhelming as soon as they entered. They couldn't help but cover their noses. They followed the smell all the way, and finally saw the scene. The two old men covered their noses. And they flew into a rage at the same time. They saw a huge black bear in front of them. It was tied to a tree. It had a very helpless and aggrieved look on its face. Its mouth was stuffed with a piece of star steel. So, it couldn't make even the slightest sound. Moreover, there was a mountain of feces and urine under its buttocks. This was a black bear. Moreover, it was a black bear that had diarrhea. It seems that this black bear's diarrhea has reached the point of dehydration. Chu Yang had caught this big guy, tied it to a tree, and fed it laxatives. Then, he had stuffed its mouth. It was no wonder that the two Emperor-level experts had been constantly hearing the sound of diarrhea for the past 2 hours. As for Minister Chu himself, it was unknown where he had run off to in these 2 hours. There was a piece of paper on top of the black bear's head. And there seemed to be some writing on it. The 8th elder was about to go crazy with anger. He grabbed the paper, and saw that it said, "It's late at night. Your Excellency has worked hard. In particular, Your Excellency has patiently waited for the black bear to have diarrhea. Such moral integrity and action are rare in the world. I have just received your clan's generous hospitality. And I have nothing to repay you with. I have specially asked Brother Bear to prepare some gold in order to properly entertain Your Excellency. Your Excellency can eat it according to your taste. Please feel free to enjoy it. It's absolutely not poisonous. Please, please, please. Please don't be polite." Then, he had drawn a big smiley face at the end of the paper. It was brimming with happiness. "Damned son of a bitch. This old man will dismember your body into 10,000 pieces." The 8th elder roared loudly. He put his hands together, and smashed that piece of paper into pieces. His face turned purple like a tomato. Crackle. The black bear started again. The 8th elder was so angry that it seemed as if he was about to go crazy. He raised his hand, and smashed the black bear's huge body with a thunderous sound. The bear's feces and urine splashed everywhere. The two Emperor-level experts rushed back in a distressed state. They saw the 10 carriages outside. They thought, "Motherfucker, you can leave, but can the carriages also leave?" They stepped forward to take a look. And they couldn't help but cry out in alarm. The carriages were empty. They had been full of materials. But there wasn't even a bit of them left now. Only the 4 horses on each carriage were left. They were staring innocently at the 2 furious elders. "I'm so angry." The 8th elder and the 9th elder felt extremely angry in their chests. But they couldn't release it. In fact, they felt as if their chests were about to explode. "Continue to chase. I don't believe that this little thing can fly to the sky." The 2 of them made a decision without any hesitation. Then, they suddenly flew out of the forest. They passed through the forest like 2 big birds. Chu Yang entered the forest. Then, he used the inner core of a bear to lure a black bear. Then, he did the same thing. Then, he left silently. Chu Yang's escape was very smooth since the black bear was there to cover him. He crossed the forest in less than a quarter of an hour. Then, he made a few false directions in order to mislead the enemy. Then, he started to go to the agreed place. He went at full speed all the way. In fact, He looked like a fleeting shadow. Then, he flashed in the sky, and disappeared without a trace. He went all the way. Then, he saw Jiyu Du Xing and the others moving forward at a leisurely pace. Chu Yang caught up with them at flying speed, and said, "Go at full speed. Find an advantageous place, and get ready to meet the enemy." Jiyu Du Xing knew that the situation was urgent. So, he didn't ask any questions. So, he ordered everyone to rush at full speed. Chu Yang held Mo Qingwu in his arms. Then, he put her on his shoulder. The brothers took off the star iron from their bodies. Everyone felt as light as a swallow. It's like a gust of wind passing through the earth. Mo Qingwu obediently lowered her body. Then, she hugged Chu Yang tightly to reduce the wind resistance. However, she felt a little sad in her heart. "I'm too weak. I can't help brother Chu Yang. Instead, I'll drag him down. How good would it be if my strength could be of the greatest help to brother Chu Yang?" The gust of wind blew Mo Qingwu's fine black hair. And, Mo Qingwu's heart was filled with a desire for strength for the first time. Such a thought. It's not for anything else. I don't want to be a burden to brother Chu Yang. I want to help him. I don't want to be a burden. This thought rose in Mo Qingwu's heart for the first time. I want to become a powerhouse. I want to protect brother Chu Yang. The wind whistled. Mo Qingwu's heart was rolling like a tide. Chapter 488. Chu Yang took out a water bag and threw it to Jiyu Du Xing as they flew. "Du Xing, give everyone a sip. The enemy might catch up with us at any time." "All right." Jiyu Du Xing didn't know what this was. But, he knew that Chu Yang must have done this for some reason. So, he raised it and drank a mouthful. Then, he threw it to Dong Wushong. Dong Wushong drank a mouthful and threw it to Luo Ku Di. Everyone drank a mouthful of water after this cycle had been repeated for a week. Jiyu Du Xing asked at this moment, "Big brother, what's the use of this water? Drinking a mouthful can make you immune to poison for a period of time." Chu Yang softly replied. "So, it's the Ou clan." Jiyu Du Xing got angry. His eyes turned cold. "Anti-poison, there's no one else apart from the Ou clan. Presumably, the Ou clan wants to snatch the resources in your hands?" Dong Wushong asked in a heavy voice. He was usually taciturn. But, he was very good at looking at problems. "Yes," Chu Yang nodded. "The Ou clan is ungrateful." Jimo spat angrily and said, "Ou Du Xiao would have disgraced the Ou clan in Mount Dingjun if it weren't for you, big brother. Now, the Ou clan is biting the hand that feeds them. They're simply inhumane." Jiyu Du Xing smiled and said, "But, the Ou clan is trying to be clever and end up with a blunder. They would have had a chance to succeed if they had intercepted us and fought us. But, they're too smart for their own good. They sent Ou Du Xiao to lure us into the mountain villa. They wanted to catch us in one fell swoop. They wanted to wait for us to be exhausted. They wanted to take advantage of the terrain. It's a pity that man proposes but God disposes. Big brother found out ahead of time. So, he made us scatter and leave. Then, big brother went in to trade. But, they were so anxious that they flew into a rage. But, they didn't dare to make a move, ha ha ha." Dong Wushong instantly understood. So, he couldn't help but happily laugh. "Big brother, you must have made some gains after entering the Ou clan?" Luo Ku Di curiously asked. "It's nothing. I spent 8 billion in the Ou clan. I bought more than half of the rare and precious materials of the Ou clan." Chu Yang smiled. "I also stole some things from their storehouse while I was at it." "Brilliant. Boss, you're really brilliant." The four brothers gave him a thumbs up and prostrated themselves in admiration. Going to someone else's house, going into someone else's treasure vault, and actually stealing something from someone else. This kind of ability could be considered rare. Of course, the few of them didn't know how much Chu Yang had stolen. They only thought that he had stolen a little bit. They simply didn't think that this greedy big brother would actually rob someone's medicinal storehouse in one pot. When he said that he stole some things, he didn't really mean that he stole some things. There was nothing left in the Ou clan's storehouse at present. except for the heavenly fragrance jade box. There should be some ashes in each jade box. We should reach the chill wind forest if we walk forward for another 300 kilometers. The chill wind forest should be a good place to go, Jiu Duxing said. The terrain there is complicated. It is suitable for guerrilla warfare. He paused for a moment, and then said, but, we need to pay attention to one thing. The OU clan must know that an ordinary king-level expert is nothing more than a free meal for us since they want to attack us. Therefore, they would certainly dispatch an emperor-level expert. Moreover, there would be more than one emperor-level expert. Therefore, this battle will be extremely dangerous. It is very likely that the entire army will be wiped out. But, there will certainly be casualties even if we are lucky. Everyone must be aware of this. Jiu Duxing said, now, if any of you wants to withdraw, you can do so now. You can go in another direction. We won't stop you. We won't force you either. These words were clearly spoken to the 10 king-level experts of his clan. He knew that none of his brothers would back out. There was no response for a long time after these words were spoken. Jiu Duxing's heart sank. He then said, everyone, you don't need to force yourself. After all, there may be a lack of care between life and death. Moreover, I'll have to trouble you to inform the clan in case something bad happens to us. I'll be eternally grateful. This was a reason. Moreover, it was the only reason that could allow them to leave the battle in an honorable manner. Many people would forget righteousness for the sake of profit. Many people would be greedy for life and afraid of death. Many people would escape in the face of danger. So, they would need such a reason. And, Jiu Duxing had taken the initiative to throw it out at this moment. There was an uproar as soon as this reason came out. The three men exchanged meaningful glances with each other. Then, they suddenly stopped and said, young clan lord is right. The three of us will go in another direction. We can also attract some enemies for the young clan lord. A cold light flashed in Jiu Duxing's eyes as he said, be careful on the way. He didn't look back. Then, he sped away with the others. Only these three men remained. The three men looked at each other. Then, they chose another direction and left. Big brother, do we really want to attract the enemies for them? Are you stupid? The OU clan's headquarters will be besieged by the OU clan. They will die for sure. What's the use of the three of us? Let's quickly run for our lives. Big brother, you're right. We can't escape from the Jiu clan if we abandon our masters in the face of danger. So, we'll only end up dead if we return to the Jiu clan. The three men's silhouettes disappeared in the dim light of the night. Young clan lord, we shouldn't let our fighting strength slip away at this time. The old king-level expert of the Jiu clan flew into a rage when he saw that his subordinates were fleeing in the face of danger. He wanted to chase after them and kill them. But, he was stopped by Jiu Duxing. Third uncle is overthinking. The more dangerous the situation is, the more we must ensure the purity of the team. Jiu Duxing smiled deeply and said, these people can abandon their friends and run away. So, it's hard to guarantee that they won't chop off our heads at the most dangerous time of the battle. And, we can't afford to take this risk now. So, we might as well let them leave on their own. Duxing is right. Chu Yang continued, moreover, they are fleeing for their lives. But, how can the OU clan not know that there are 10 of us in total? And, there's a possibility that the news will leak out if they leave. Therefore, the OU clan won't let them off no matter what. So, it's inevitable that they will die in the end. Moreover, they will inadvertently implicate the enemy's pursuing force for us. You're right. It's really like this. The old king-level expert was called Jiu Qingfeng. He couldn't help but be shocked when he heard these words. He saw that Chu Yang and his brothers weren't surprised at all. So, he knew that these youngsters had already thought of this point. So, he couldn't help but sigh and say, the younger generation will surpass us in time. The two elders of the OU clan had been wandering around Chu Yang's area for a long time. Then, they finally found the right direction. But, they had already covered 400 miles by the time they had caught up with them. Quickly send a message to the clan. Tell them that they are rushing towards the chill wind forest. There were originally 10 of them. But 3 of them are missing now. They must have gone to ask for help. We must intercept and kill those 3 people. We mustn't let them escape in any case. Otherwise, there will be no end of trouble in the future, the 8th elder anxiously said as he flew forward. The elder took out a small golden eagle from his bosom. He wrote a few words on it, and hung it on his leg. Then, he loosened his hand, and the small eagle soared into the sky. It circled once, and disappeared without a trace. The 2 elders looked at each other. Then, Jiudu caught up with them. The chill wind forest is in front of us. Jiudu Xing stretched out his hand, and pointed. He saw a dusky area in front of them. It seemed as if the clouds and gloomy fog had gathered here. The chilly wind was angrily howling, and a cold and gloomy aura was assaulting their faces from a few miles away. This chill wind forest is a strange place. And it has resulted in the peculiar topography of this place. You can't see the sun even if you go there in broad daylight. In fact, you can't even see people on the other side if it's serious. Dong Wusheng was afraid that Chu Yang didn't understand these things since he had just come up from the lower 3 heavens. What a good place. Chu Yang's eyes lit up. 2 people are chasing after us from behind. It seems that one of them is a first-grade Emperor-level expert, and the other one is a second-grade Emperor-level expert. The sword spirit hurriedly reminded Chu Yang in his mind, they are the 2 people who were chasing after you a moment ago. So fast. Chu Yang muttered to himself irresolutely. These 2 people should be the vanguard. The main troops shouldn't have had enough time to arrive here, the sword spirit reminded him. So to say, these 2 people are alone. Chu Yang rolled his eyes, and a cruel murderous intention suddenly appeared on his face. Du Xing, return immediately after we enter the chill wind forest. Prepare for an ambush. Chu Yang quickly said in a low voice on one side, there are 2 emperor-level experts of the Oyu clan behind us. This is our only chance to break through them one by one. Good. A sharp light flashed in Jiu Du Xing's eyes. He waved his hand, and shouted, increase the speed. Everyone crossed the distance of 5 miles with a few whooshing sounds like a black cloud, and entered the chill wind forest. The dreadful chilly wind and gloomy fog engulfed everyone's figures. Jiu Du Xing issued an order as soon as they entered the forest. Everyone stopped. Then, he started to make arrangements without any explanation. The remaining 7 sovereigns were arranged together in a relatively safe location. Mo Qingwu was placed on a distant tree by Chu Yang. Mo Qingwu felt even more uncomfortable as she watched Chu Yang turn around and leave. I want strength. I want strength. I want strength. I should have been by elder brother Chu Yang's side when he was fighting. I shouldn't have been watching him from afar with anxiety. Mo Qingwu's heart was getting more and more urgent. The remaining 5 brothers were naturally arranged by their big brother, Chu Yang. Du Xing and Ji Mo are on the left. Wu Shong and Ku Di are on the right. I'll take the lead. Chu Yang looked at the 4 brothers in an indisputable manner. I'll use a thunderbolt method to make them fall into a passive situation in one fell swoop. Then, you guys look for the right opportunity to attack. You must inflict heavy damage on the enemy in the first strike. They are 2 Emperor-level experts. You mustn't give them a chance to recover their energy and react. Yes. The 4 agreed at the same time. They unsheathed their sabers and swords, and held them in their hands. They would inevitably make a sound if they pulled out their sabers and swords at that time. Therefore, they held their sabers and swords in their hands in advance. They want our wealth. So, we'll take their lives. Chu Yang coldly said, this is only the beginning. Everyone held their breaths as Chu Yang made a gesture. Chapter 489. It was very late at night. It was almost dawn. The chill wind forest had become even darker. The whistling chilly wind was blowing softly, and was issuing a ghost-like wailing sound. 2 shadows flashed, and appeared at the entrance of the chill wind forest. They were the 8th elder and the elder of the Oyu clan. The 2 of them hid behind a large boulder in a flash. They carefully examined the surroundings, and finally confirmed that the other party had entered the chill wind forest. Let's go in and take a look. The 8th elder and the elder looked at each other. They could see each other's thoughts. The chill wind forest is certainly dark. But this also has its advantages. We can't see the other party, and the other party can't see us either. However, the divine sense of an emperor-level expert is much stronger than that of a king-level expert. The higher one's cultivation is, the more advantage one has in this forest. We can kill them as long as we figure out the other party's position. And we can stall them even if we can't kill them. This will make it easier for the team to act after daybreak. The two of them had made up their minds. They floated up and went inside the chill wind forest. They were emperor-level experts. Moreover, they were tracking in the dark. So, it was impossible for the other party to discover their tracks. Therefore, they weren't very concerned even though they were on guard in their hearts. Their self-confidence was completely reasonable. After all, Chu Yang and the others couldn't discover them if they were alone. However, Chu Yang had a sword spirit that had cultivated for more than 10,000 years inside his body. Suddenly, they heard a ghost-like wailing and wolf-like howling sound. The two of them couldn't help but force a smile. This chill wind forest deserves its reputation. They spread out their divine sense to explore, and cautiously moved forward. They couldn't even see their own fingers after they had taken 3 or 4 steps. Chu Yang didn't hesitate in the fog when they had entered the chill wind forest. He immediately launched an operation. His black clothes fluttered, and he appeared in the dense fog like a demon god. His long sword flashed, and he silently launched a move. What harm is there in slaughtering the entire world? The two elders felt darkness before their eyes as soon as they entered. So, they couldn't help but subconsciously close their eyes. Suddenly, the dense fog in front of them fluctuated. Then, an extremely swift and fierce swordlight suddenly appeared. It went straight for thousands of miles, and swept away everything in its path. The swordlight was so sudden that neither of them had anticipated it. In fact, there wasn't even the slightest sign before the swordlight had appeared. With a flash of sword light, it was already in front of his eyes. This sword strike was so terrifying that even the two emperor-level experts had never seen it in their 100 years of experience. The two of them simultaneously felt a boundless murderous aura enveloping them. His entire body felt cold. With a fierce roar, he hastily fought back. With 2 clanging sounds, 2 swords were unsheathed at the same time to meet this sword light. However, the strength that he hurriedly used was far from the strength that he should have. Moreover, this sword was the double heaven sword technique that had been extinct in the double heaven continent for 10,000 years. The world's #1 sword art. The sword with the greatest killing intent. What harm is there in slaughtering the entire world? The sword light was like a thunderbolt in the sky, striking down. Like a bolt of lightning, it came into contact with the two men's hastily raised sword. With a crackling sound, the long swords that had been in their hands for a long time turned into fragments in an instant. The sword chi surged wildly, and the two of them simultaneously spat out a mouthful of blood. However, the sword power of the newcomer didn't stop. It continued to rush forward aggressively. Under the counterattack of the two emperor-level experts, Chu Yang's chest became stuffy, and his throat became sweet. He almost spat out a mouthful of blood. However, he forcibly endured it. The sword light flashed again, and the sharp wool buried deep will not change. Gathering the wind and clouds to become the emperor. 2 moves with murderous aura continued to appear. Chu Yang wanted to use all the moves of the calamity sword technique in one go. However, he felt a piercing pain in his chest as soon as he used these 2 moves. The counterattack of the emperor-level experts wasn't the full strength of the counterattack, but it still wasn't something that Chu Yang could easily withstand with his current cultivation. Chu Yang had no choice but to give up his original plan. However, these 2 moves had already filled the sky with dazzling sword light. It suddenly covered down like an inescapable net. The sword light was like rain, and the sword energy was everywhere. With a few shua 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 sounds, several crisscrossing bloody wounds appeared on the 2 men's bodies. They were so deep that their bones could be seen. Blood spurted out. The 2 men were shocked. They were scared out of their wits. They frantically attacked a few times with their palms. Then, they recklessly retreated to the left and right. Chu Yang would have been like an arrow at the end of its flight if they hadn't retreated. Then, he wouldn't have posed any threat to them. Moreover, their previous arrangement wouldn't have had any effect on them. However, they had no choice but to retreat. The first sword move had already scared them out of their wits. They immediately confirmed that the opposite party was an emperor-level expert. Moreover, it was a sword emperor. Otherwise, how could he issue such a swift and fierce sword move? And, such a mighty sword power? They would have been courting death if they hadn't retreated in the face of a hidden sword emperor. They could have turned defeat into victory and saved their lives only by retreating first and stabilizing their footing. Therefore, they had no choice but to retreat first. However, they had delivered themselves to the edge of the sword by retreating and dodging. A biting cold sword intention was issued from the left. Jiyu Duxing, the Sword King, had made his move. However, his long sword had already pierced out like a viper before this sword intention had arrived. His target was the heart of the eighth elder. At the same time, a cylindrical swordlight flew out. Jimo's body and sword had merged into one. He silently flew high in the sky, and recklessly attacked the eighth elder on the left. The elder staggered back on the right. He screamed out in pain. But, a tall and sturdy figure suddenly jumped high in the sky before he could react. Then, a dark and heavy saber fiercely chopped down with a might that could chop off a mountain. This saber strike didn't have any follow-up moves. It didn't have any ingenuity. However, he had concentrated his entire body's essence, energy, and spirit on this saber strike. This saber strike was sure to kill. Even if the sky is in front of this saber strike, I will separate him. Then, a sword light pierced out from behind him like a viper. Second young master Luo Ku Di had sinisterly blocked all the escape routes of this emperor-level expert. The elder let out a desperate scream. He had suffered 3 consecutive attacks of a peerless sword technique in a hurry. So, he had sustained serious injuries. He was still in a state of shock. But, he hadn't expected that a wild tyrant Saber King had been arranged to block his escape route. He hastily raised his left hand, and circulated his martial power to block the attack. Then, he quickly took out a small and exquisite dagger with his right hand, and went forward to meet the attack. He flew back at the same time. He would be able to save his life if he could block the attack even if his arm would be crippled because of it. Snap! The saber fiercely chopped down, and his left hand was cut off. The dagger in his right hand went forward to meet the attack. Then, the saber chopped down indifferently like a sovereign descending to the world. Dong Wushong was a sovereign with a saber in his hand. No one would dare to disobey a sovereign descending to the world. This was an innate imposing manner. No one could imitate it. Clang! The dagger broke. The saber carried a wild and violent force, and suddenly chopped down on the forehead of this emperor-level expert who was retreating. Blood appeared. Luo Ku Di's long sword pierced into the back of this emperor-level expert's heart without any reservation at this moment. This emperor-level expert had been thoroughly cut off from the front and the back. The saber continued to fall. Then, it accurately chopped this emperor-level expert into 2 halves from the top of his head to his crotch with a shua sound. The elder had attacked with his palm before his death. But, it was already powerless. Dong Wushong had kicked him out. And, half of his body had turned into a rain of blood in the sky. Dong Wushong's figure coldly appeared at this time. His stature was tall and sturdy. He looked like the legendary god of war. His blade-like vision was looking at Jiyu Duxing's battle situation. Jiyu Duxing's sword was like a thunderbolt on the other side. It was faster than the speed of light. In fact, the black dragon sword was sprinting at such a short distance. But, the friction between the sword and the air had become hot. Puff! The sword pierced through the heart. The eighth elder had the cultivation of a second-grade emperor-level expert. But, he didn't have enough time to react. The sword pierced through his heart. However, his staggering footsteps didn't stop as he retreated. Jiyu Duxing had already begun to withdraw his sword and retreat when he felt a pain in his chest. The eighth elder exposed a cruel and desperate smile on his face. He suddenly pounced forward, and let the sword pierce through his heart once again. He then pounced forward. Du Xing, withdraw your sword. Chu Yang roared. Jiyu Du Xing loosened his palm, and fiercely dashed away from the side. The eighth elder's palm hit empty air with a bang sound. Only a small part of his strength brushed past the side of Jiyu Du Xing's body. Jiyu Du Xing spat out a mouthful of blood with a wah sound. His body repeatedly rolled. The eighth elder ferociously roared, and was about to step forward to pursue an attack. However, a brilliant light flashed in midair at this moment. Jimo's body and sword merged into one. Then, a gorgeous and resplendent beam of light rushed over, and engulfed the eighth elder's entire body in the sword light. This second-grade Emperor-level expert didn't even have time to issue a final cry. He turned into minced meat under the gorgeous sword light. The sword light converged. Jimo picked up the boiling black dragon sword, and rushed over. Second brother, are you alright? I'm fine. Jiyu Du Xing felt as if half of his body had been torn apart. But, he resisted the pain, and stood up straight. Then, he received the black dragon sword. This fight had ended as soon as it had started. It was so fast that there was no time to react. Everything had already been settled. 2 Emperor-level experts had died in such an unjust ambush. Everyone looked at each other, and felt somewhat horrified. Jimo and Luo Kudi were still in a state of shock after the fight had ended. They had been focused on killing the enemy a moment ago. So, they hadn't felt anything. But, they couldn't help but feel weak in the knees as they recalled the fight. Even Dong Wushong and Jiyu Du Xing were somewhat worried. Emperor-level expert. He was such a high and aloof existence before this. And, the target that we're working so hard for has died in our own hands. It turns out that a king-level expert can also kill an emperor-level expert. Dong Wushong let out a long sigh. That indescribable melancholy in his voice gradually subsided. Instead, a strong killing intention gradually rose in his body. The saber energy on his body also became more and more berserk. Something called self-confidence violently gushed out from his body. It seemed as if this short fight had released the demon of slaughter from his heart. Not only him, but the temperament of Jiyu Du Xing, Jimo, and Luo Kudi had also changed after this fight. After all, they had successfully killed Emperor-level experts with the cultivation of King-level expert. It had been a siege and an ambush. However, the invincible image of Emperor-level experts in their hearts had collapsed with a loud rumble. Chapter 490. One must know that Emperor-level experts were at the peak of the 3 heavens. The big clans had monarch-level experts of higher levels. However, they were old monsters who had lived for God knows how many years. In fact, they wouldn't appear even once in a few decades. Some of them wouldn't appear even once in 100 or 200 years. Even his own family didn't know and didn't dare to confirm if these people were still alive. The impression that the 3 heavenly emperors were invincible had been deeply engraved in everyone's heart for a long time. In fact, it had even developed to the point where there was a rumor the big clans of the 3 heavens can't have a foothold in the 3 heavens if they don't have an emperor-level expert. Becoming an emperor-level expert had become the lifelong goal of the 3 heavens youngsters. Therefore, the Jiyu clan had imprisoned Shuo Miao Ling because of the promotion of an emperor-level expert. This was admittedly a kind of motivation. However, it was also an invisible shackle. That was because emperor-level experts were so supreme that they could become leduo. However, what would happen if they realized their lifelong leduo? Therefore, many experts of the 3 heavens would have a feeling of arriving at the dock after they had cultivated to the emperor level. Mentality was extremely important for martial arts. This feeling was basically announcing that they had reached the end of their life. Jiyu Du Xing and the others had grown up in such clans. So, it was inevitable that they would have this mentality. Therefore, Chu Yang wanted to break this mentality. Chu Yang wanted to lead his brothers to take the initiative to kill emperor-level experts even though the Ou clan hadn't dealt with them yet. He wanted to break this mentality. This kind of illusory myth would be broken only if an emperor-level expert would die in front of him and by his own hand. The real purpose of Chu Yang's arrangement for this robbery and killing was to walk through this mental path. And this was a very important part of it. Not just Emperor-level expert. We can even kill monarch-level experts as long as we make proper arrangement. Chu Yang smiled faintly. His voice was filled with a kind of fanatical self-confidence. This kind of self-confidence quickly spread to the brothers. The 5 of them didn't speak. But their eyes were shining. It was a kind of light that had broken through the shackles of their heart. They felt their fighting spirit boiling at this moment. In fact, they had even forgotten about their injuries. Everyone had the same thought in their hearts: king-level experts can kill emperor-level experts. They can even exterminate monarch-level experts. But what if we reach monarch-level experts? Wouldn't we be able to exterminate saint-level experts? If this continued, what was a supreme martial artist? Chu Yang let out a sigh of relief. He knew that these people had completely passed through this mental journey. So, he finally felt relieved. Only then did he feel the pain in his body. In the battle just now, Chu Yang's early attacks were the most important. Therefore, the injuries he suffered this time were also extremely serious. Right now, he had limitless medicinal energy in his body. He had all the incomplete heavy pills he needed, so he didn't have to worry at all. Shi and Jiu Du Xing each ate one, and it didn't take long for them to recover. Jiu Du Xing let out a sigh of relief. He opened his eyes and said, "So this is what it feels like to kill a strong enemy. He, to think that I even had the other 7 people lying in ambush at the back, prepared for them to come out and make the final strike if we couldn't do it. I didn't expect that it would be completely useless." Everyone laughed. In this battle, we have formed a few initial formations that are worthy of being proud of. Chu Yang concluded, Wu Shong's aggressiveness, Du Xing's acute spirit, and Jimo's courage in defeating the enemy. These are the most precious things. And they will be our biggest reliance in the future. You must firmly remember the characteristics of your brothers. The future battles will be ever-changing. So, you must maximize your strengths on the basis of possibilities. Only then will you be able to reach the end. Jiu Du Xing, Dong Wu Shong, and the others deeply nodded. Moreover, killing an expert isn't that easy. You can kill an expert, but it depends on how you kill him. You can have self-confidence. But you can be blindly conceited and drag us down to hell. We must be careful about this. Chu Yang said in a profound manner. Yes. The people of the OU clan will probably arrive soon. Everyone, get ready. Chu Yang issued an order. The bodies of the brothers floated up and flashed into the chill wind forest. Chu Yang picked up Mo Ching Wu and also stepped inside. He felt that something was wrong after walking for some distance. Mo Ching Wu seemed to be somewhat silent compared to usual. Ching Wu, what's wrong with you? Chu Yang asked. Did you get scared a moment ago? No. Mo Ching Wu pursed her lips and shook her head. She pouted her small mouth and didn't speak. Then, do you miss home? Chu Yang continued to probe. No. Mo Ching Wu shook her head again. Chu Yang continued to make several guesses. But Mo Ching Wu kept shaking her head. Finally, Mo Ching Wu pouted her lips in an aggrieved manner. She then timidly said, Elder brother Chu Yang, little Wu is very useless, right? Useless? Chu Yang was startled. Why do you say this? Yes, but I always feel that. I've become a burden to elder brother Chu Yang. Mo Ching Wu's small mouth flattened. She then said while weeping, I can only hide on one side and watch every time elder brother Chu Yang goes to fight. I can only watch whether you win or lose. I want to help you, elder brother Chu Yang. But I don't have the strength. Boo-hoo, Mo Ching Wu sobbed as she spoke. She then sadly wiped her tears with the back of her small hand. I'm so useless. How can Ching Wu be useless? Chu Yang said anxiously, with Ching Wu by my side, it's so useful. Elder brother Chu Yang's mood improved when he saw Ching Wu after the fight. No matter when, as long as Ching Wu is by my side, I'll be happy. Ching Wu's usefulness is something that no one can compare to. But my strength is so low. Mo Ching Wu's mood improved a lot. Her voice lowered, but she was no longer flattening her lips. She's weak, but she can still practice. Moreover, Qingwu is still injured. After 10 or 20 days, I'll find Jukyu and get the materials from him. Then, I'll be able to heal Xiao Wu's 3 yin meridians. Once little Wu's 3 yin meridian is healed, she can cultivate. Then, she'll surpass elder brother Chu Yang in a few days. Chu Yang smiled and said, in the future, elder brother Chu Yang still hopes that Qingwu will protect me. Really? Little Luo widened her big teary eyes and looked at him. You're not lying to me, right? Of course not. Chu Yang vowed. Mo Qingwu believed him. She was in a good mood. She sat on Chu Yang's neck and twisted. She said happily, Humph, wait until my martial arts are good. I'll always protect elder brother Chu Yang. I won't let anyone bully me. She lowered her face and looked into Chu Yang's eyes. Her black hair fell on Chu Yang's neck. She blinked her eyes and said as if she was swearing, elder brother Chu Yang, don't worry. I'll protect you for a lifetime. Protect me for a lifetime. Chu Yang was stunned. His imagination ran wild. For a lifetime. Yes, for a lifetime. Mo Qingwu nodded vigorously and said firmly, that's great. Chu Yang laughed and said, I'll remember that Qingwu will protect me for a lifetime. Hee hee. Mo Qingwu happily laughed twice. Her 2 calves swung in front of his chest a few times. Then, she tilted her head and imagined the scene of Chu Yang being protected by her. She couldn't help but giggle foolishly. Then, she stopped talking. After a long time, she asked anxiously, elder brother Chu Yang, then, can I ask you a question? What question? Mo Qingwu smiled pitifully and said somewhat pleadingly, inside your clothes, whose hair is that? She looked at Chu Yang's face a little guiltily and said softly, that day, elder brother Chu Yang's face was really ugly. Chu Yang was speechless. He didn't expect this little girl to see it that day and hold it in for so long before asking now. Compared to this little girl, it was also very difficult for her to hold it in. But this question was really difficult to answer. It's. Chu Yang hesitated. Mo Qingwu asked sadly in a low voice, is it sister-in-law Chu Yang's? No. No. Chu Yang's whole body trembled and he immediately denied it. Fuck, this little lass is imagining a sister-in-law out of thin air. Things are getting out of hand. So it's not. Mo Qingwu heaved a sigh of relief. She suddenly felt a little better. She also didn't know why, but she was happy to hear Chu Yang deny it. She actually hummed 2 lines of a song before asking again, then, what about sister-in-law? Where did this sister-in-law come from? I don't have a sister-in-law. Chu Yang's breathing became heavy. Why did this little girl keep on using the word sister-in-law? No sister-in-law, that's great. The little girl rolled her eyes and suddenly said coquettishly, elder brother Chu Yang. I remember, back in the lower 3 heavens, you said that you wanted me to be your fiancé. The little girl started to dig up old scores. And she actually pressed on very rhythmically. Chu Yang's eyes rolled back and he was weak. On the other side, Jiyu Duxing and the rest were afraid that Chu Yang would hear them. They all held their breaths and covered their mouths with all their might. Their whole bodies were twitching. What are you saying? The little girl pouted unhappily and asked anxiously, do you remember? Do you remember? I remember. Chu Yang said vaguely. He was sweating profusely. He had a feeling that Jiyu Duxing and the others were not far from here. They could hear everything that was going on here. But now, he was being interrogated by this little girl. Just think about it. Being interrogated by an 11-year-old girl about sensitive topics like fiancé and sister-in-law. And he had no choice but to brace himself. And there were many people eavesdropping around. Then, do you admit it? Chu Yang did not give any details. The little girl was about to get angry. She grabbed elder brother Chu Yang's ear. Yes. Of course. Chu Yang nodded repeatedly like a chick pecking rice. Humph, that means you don't have a sister-in-law. Mo Qingwu pouted triumphantly. The little girl had a habit. She liked to pout when she felt wronged. She would also pout when she was happy. But one of them had her head down, while the other had her head up. The expression on her face was very different. Of course not. Chu Yang hurriedly said and wiped off his cold sweat. Then let me be the sister-in-law. Little Luo's face was red. She was so young, but her eyes were like water. When she saw Chu Yang looking at her in shock, she actually let out a shy and feminine snort. You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.